thing to happen to the world of theater. Welcome back to my YouTube channel that I haven't posted on in like 10 years. I mean, what can I say? There's no place like home. Hey everyone, it's the Looney Love Fed 1 here. I have not made a video in probably about 10 years, but the reason I am making this video is because actually people have been asking for it. So if you're wondering why people are asking, that is because 9 years ago, I left this comment on a YouTube video that was a wicked supercut of Alphabet doing Defying Gravity. Someone named Chris H. Johnson 93 said, I have one thing to say, why is there not a movie yet? And I responded, that will be the worst thing to ever happen to the world of theater. Because of recent events, this comment has completely blown up. I've been getting responses like crazy from a comment I left 9 years ago asking me, what did you think of the movie? So, do you still think that? Is it still the worst thing that ever happened in musical theater? A lot of comments being like, this didn't age well, this didn't age well, this didn't age well, this didn't age well. Not very original. And when I tell you this comment blew up, like, it's not just that I've been getting crazy amounts of responses on YouTube, which I have, but it was posted onto Reddit. My YouTube's been blowing up with this notification from this comment from years ago. Like, the first one that came in, I was like, what is this from? But now it's just like every day I see that thumbnail in my notifications, I'm like, oh my god, this again. But I also saw it on Reddit. Somebody posted about my comment, and there's a whole discussion going on about it. So not only is the YouTube community wanting to know what my thoughts are on the Wicked movie, but so is the Reddit community, apparently.
And you gotta give the people what they want.
So here are my thoughts on the movie. Just for context, this was 9 years ago, so I was 14 years old. So here's what I looked like at 14 years old. This was me. So that's the girl that wrote that comment. Not necessarily me right now, but it is still me, and I do have thoughts on the movie. So the reason I left that comment, and the reason I thought that a Wicked movie would be the worst thing to ever happen to musical theater, is because historically, when movie musicals are made, it was because a show had just closed or was already closing. Because Broadway shows want to make money, producers want to make money. They're not going to sell the rights to a movie, which will then take audiences away from the Broadway theater and to the movies, unless it means the show is closing. So in my mind, at 14 years old, a Wicked movie would mean that the show was closing. And obviously I did not want that. And I'm really happy that that is not the case and Wicked is not closing anytime soon. It seems box office sales have actually increased, and I think a big part of that is that they did this movie in 2 parts. So people see the movie and then they want to know what happens in part 2, and they don't want to wait a year, so they go to the Broadway show. So I think that having it in 2 parts was actually like a really genius move to increase box office sales for the Broadway show. I don't know if that would have been the case had they not done it in 2 parts. I have seen the movie already, so this is not really a reaction as it is a commentary because I have already seen it. So to give you some background of my knowledge of Wicked, I have seen the Broadway show 5 or 6 times. The first time I saw it, I actually made a vlog on this channel, and it's still up. And I was 11 years old. I saw it at the Gershwin Theater with Chandra Schwartz, and it was either Jackie Burns or Donna Vivino understudying, but I lost the thing that comes in the playbill. So I'm not positive who was Alphabet, but Glinda was Chandra Schwartz. I had a great time. I bought this shirt, and when I bought it, and you can see my vlog, it was too big on me. I thought I'll grow into it, and I never really did. It's still kind of big on me. Then I saw it in 8th grade for a chorus field trip with Cara Lindsay and Caroline Bauman. And in 8th grade, my friends and I dressed up as the Wicked cast for Halloween. I was Elphaba, and I got the MAC Chroma Cake in Landscape Green, which is what they used to greenify Elphaba on Broadway. I also made a video about the whole process it took for me to get that makeup, so you know how dedicated I am. And then I saw it in 2018 with Marianne Torres, who was the understudy, and Amanda Jane Cooper. And then I saw it in 2020, right before COVID shut down, with Hannah Corneau and Gina Claire Mason. It was like the last thing I saw before COVID. And then last year I went to the 20th anniversary show, which was so exciting. I went to the Glinda Pink show, and that's where I got this hat. And that was with Mackenzie Kurtz, who is here in this signed photo, and Alyssa J. Fox. Amazing. That might be my favorite time I've ever seen it, just because the energy in the audience being at an anniversary show was so exciting. And then about a month after that, I saw it on tour in Philadelphia at the Kimmel Center with Celia Hottenstein and Olivia Valli. They were absolutely amazing. It was my first time ever seeing a show on tour. Also, when I put in clips from the Broadway show to match, I'm gonna try to find clips from different cast members. I don't necessarily have favorites. I like that each actor brings their own interpretation of the role, and so when I talk about different things that I like better in the stage show, I want to try to show a few different actors. Again, it's gonna depend on what I'm able to find on YouTube to use, but I want to try to use clips from different actors so that you guys can see different interpretations, not necessarily just, you know, the original Broadway cast. And now I live somewhere very far away from Broadway and very far away from all of civilization. The closest movie theater to me is a 2-hour drive away. So when the movie came out, I debated if I should just wait until streaming and do a video, but I couldn't wait. So I drove 2 hours to the nearest movie theater. I stayed in a hotel. I saw it 3 times in theaters, regular, IMAX, and 3D. The 3D wasn't really necessary, but it was fun because I had to see it. And now I'm gonna watch the movie with you guys. I'm gonna do a lot of comparisons to the Broadway show. I will warn you, this is going to be extremely nitpicky. I should also say I've read the book. I'm a huge fan of the book. I've read the Wizard of Oz book and the Wicked book, only the first of each. I need to read all the sequels for both. But love the Wicked book, huge fan. And I have it signed by Idina Menzel, Kristen Chenoweth, and Norma Leo Butts, who I saw at other shows. So as a Wicked superfan, I have a lot of thoughts. Obviously, we all do. And I do feel like the spaces to talk about Wicked have been like overwhelmingly positive, and I absolutely love this movie, so I want to put a disclaimer out that I absolutely love this movie. That being said, I don't think it's perfect. I do have thoughts, and I don't like that people don't seem to be able to share their honest opinions without getting hated on. So if you don't want to see complaints, click off this video. I'm going to be 100% honest. When I like something, when I don't like something, I will tell you. I might share what I would have rather have seen instead, what I thought was done better in the Broadway production that I wish they had taken into the movie, and what I thought they did well in the movie, what additions I thought were worthwhile. And before we get into the video, here is a word from our sponsors.
It's me, I'm the sponsor. So today's video is sponsored by me, and more specifically, my new Etsy account, Ethereal Entrancement. I have been working on a very special project for you guys, and that is Wicked paper dolls. I have been drawing the Broadway costumes since I was 11, scribbling them in my notebooks during school. I live in Alaska, where the winters are very dark and cold and long, and I needed a fun little project to keep me occupied during the winters, so I came up with the idea of making Wicked paper dolls, because what better thing to do than continue to draw the costumes that I already love drawing so much. So I have started with Glinda's Broadway costumes, but I will also be doing Elphaba's Broadway costumes, as well as both Elphaba and Glinda costumes from the movie and the book. For Glinda and Elphaba, I will be making 1 doll each, so my Glinda doll is complete. I still have to make my Elphaba doll, and then all the costumes for that character will fit that doll. So if you get the Glinda Broadway doll and costumes, and then later when I come out with the movie costumes and you get those, they will all fit your Glinda doll. And I will be selling packages once I have more costumes out. But to incentivize you guys to purchase now before I've completed them all, if you buy what I have up so far, you will get a discount code for your next purchase. So when I have more dolls and outfits available, you can be the first to get them at a discounted price. When you purchase these dolls online, you will be purchasing a digital download of the files that you can print out at home and cut out. And if you want to print out many copies, feel free. The download will come with 1 doll, all of the outfits, and a Glinda accessories guide, which will tell you how to create all of the outfits from the Broadway show. If you mix and match and make a fun creation, please tag me on Instagram at Ethereal Entrancements. So these are my original drawings. I did them all by hand on paper with colored pencil. Just to be transparent, I used Photoshop to put all the pieces together, but all of the pieces are hand drawn. So please click the link in the description below and follow me on Instagram if you want updates on my progress of drawing the other paper dolls, if you want to know when the other bundles are coming. And let's get back to the video. Also, I do want to say, if I spoil anything for part 2, I will put that at the end of the video. So I want this video to be watchable by people who have only watched part 1 of the movie, haven't seen the musical, and just want to see comparisons about how the movie differs from the musical. So if I say anything that is spoilery, I will edit that all and put it at the end at a section, so that when you get to the end of the video, if you don't want any spoilers for Act 2, you can click off. If you've already seen Act 2 or you don't care about spoilers, then you can watch to the end of the video, but I will put all the spoilers for part 2 at the end. I'm so excited. I absolutely love how they did this logo. I love all the little Wizard of Oz references. I wonder how they got around copyright with all of that. Like this old MGM logo that Universal did. I don't know how they got away with that in terms of copyright, but it's fun.
Because there has been so much rumor and speculation.
Innuendo, outuendo. I think this opening is so good. In the theaters, I got so excited because I didn't really know exactly how they were going to open it. I thought it was going to start with No One Mourns the Wicked. How this shot looks and how the beginning of Defying Gravity looks is how I wanted the whole movie to look. I wanted dark, gritty, because that's what the stage play looks like. I didn't like how bright and washed out this movie was. This dark, gritty look that they have here. And I was so excited they have the overture. I didn't know if they were gonna do the overture. I was so excited to hear it because it's not a stage show. I don't know if you need an overture, but I'm so happy they didn't cut it out. But the dark, gritty look they have in the beginning there and that they have in Defying Gravity, that's really what I wanted the whole movie to look like. Unlimited. I like that we go over the rainbow. Okay, does anyone else think that this shot looks like weirdly AI generated? Like, I know it's not, it's just CGI. But like, the broomstick that Dorothy's holding doesn't even look like the broomstick we see in this movie. I don't know, this shot is like weird. I'm excited. I know there's like speculations, rumor, innuendo, outuendo about if Dorothy's gonna like make an actual appearance in Act 2. Like, we've seen her feet in the trailers, but like, did they cast someone? Is it Alicia Weir from Matilda? That's the leading theory. How big of a role is she gonna play? But this shot is like weirdly, it's weird. It doesn't look like they cast someone for this shot. So maybe they just had an actress in part 2. This doesn't look like it was filmed. It looks like just CGI. I don't know, we'll see. And the overture changes here, which I don't mind. So I wonder if parts of the overture changes are from the new songs we're gonna see in Act 2. We know there's gonna be The Girl in the Bubble and There's No Place Like Home. I'm pretty sure that's what the second one's gonna be called. I wonder if part of the musical motifs in the new part of the overture are from that. But there's also a little nod to Ding Dong the Witch is Dead. I'm gonna go back if you didn't hear it. Okay, listen. Ding dong, the witch is dead. You hear that? Here's my first nitpick. It's not even really a nitpick because I'm pretty sure in the musical, this scene, No One Mourns the Wicked / the finale, takes place in Munchkinland, but they never say it. It might seem in the script Munchkinland, but when they're there, they don't say we're in Munchkinland. It kind of just seems like everyone's dressed as like general Aussian villagers. They don't say where we are. It actually doesn't make sense for it to be in Munchkinland. The only reason that I think they say it's in Munchkinland in the musical is because the audience knows Munchkinland from Wizard of Oz. But the reason Ding Dong the Witch is Dead was such a big deal in Munchkinland is because that was about the Wicked Witch of the East, who was ruling over Munchkinland. The Wicked Witch of the West was ruling over the Winkies. So it doesn't really make sense for No One Mourns the Wicked to be in Munchkinland because there's no reason for the Munchkins to care about the Wicked Witch of the West. She had nothing to do with them. She was of the West, not the East. They would care a lot more about Nessa Rose dying, as we see in The Wizard of Oz. They don't really have a reason to like care so much about the Wicked Witch of the West. She had nothing to do with Munchkinland because they're in the East. I mean, I know obviously Elf was from Munchkinland, but at this point we're like 30 years later from when she lived in Munchkinland. They don't really remember her, and they're focused on the Wicked Witch of the East, who is oppressing them. There's no reason the Munchkins should care so much about the Wicked Witch of the West dying. Ding dong, the witch is, she's dead. The Witch of the West is dead. This is my sing-along. I hope y'all don't mind. I love the sets that they did for Munchkinland. It's really fun. Look, it's Glinda. I don't know why she starts singing in the bubble, like while she's coming down. I think that's a little weird. That goodness could subdue the wicked workings of you know. I do really love Ariana in this role. I was skeptical when she was cast. I appreciate that she took it really seriously and retrained. Like, she did vocal lessons, she did acting lessons, because yes, she was in 13 on Broadway, but like when she was a child, and she hadn't acted in about 10 years and hadn't done stage in about like 20 years. She wasn't classically trained, definitely not operatically trained. I appreciate that she took this role very seriously and retrained her voice to do opera and took acting lessons and all of that. She really crushed it. I do think there's a lot of other actresses that also would have been great for the role. I'm not saying that Ariana wasn't great, because I think she was, but I also don't like when people say that Ariana is the only person that could have possibly played this role. The role was made for her. That's not true. There are a lot of talented Broadway actresses who have played the role on Broadway, on tour, on the West End, in all countries around the world, and who could have played this role extremely well. So I'm very happy with what we got. I don't think Ariana is the only person who could have played this role. I think a lot of people can and have played this role extremely well. It's good to see me, isn't it? No need to respond. That was rhetorical. I
I really like her acting in this scene, but also I want to give credit to all the Broadway Glindas who also are able to show these same emotions, but from really far away where you can't see their faces close up. Guys, I should play Glinda. Okay, so because they changed around the order of this scene, it looks like the Munchkins just interrupted Glinda while she's singing. This is how it plays out on the Broadway soundtrack, but it's not what happens in the show. After she says, "For you," and then someone interrupts her to ask, "How dead is she?" And then she gives this speech about how she's really dead, but here they took that part and put it at the beginning in the voiceover, which I really like that like little voiceover when we see the hat and stuff. So I don't mind that, but because they moved that speech to the beginning of the movie, it looks like someone just interrupted her to go, "No one mourns the wicked." And if you've only listened to the Broadway soundtrack, you might think that's what happens in the Broadway show, but it's not. The gunman scorns the wicked. Through their lives our children learn what they miss when... I like that we're seeing that Munchkin Land is a dye-based economy, and they make dye from the tulips. Fun little addition. Why not? She really like juts out her chin when she sings these high notes. I want to see like vocal coaches react. I love those videos. I want them to talk about her technique because she really is like... It seems like she's struggling with the notes a little. Like, I'm not a vocal expert, but her face is not relaxed at all. Her jaw is really, really tense while she's singing these high notes. You can tell she wasn't classically trained and she learned how to sing these notes for this movie. And she does an amazing job and she does hit the notes, but you can see in her face, she's straining. Have you guys seen the interviews with this little girl and the girl who plays Little Elphaba? They're so cute. And leave you lonely, that's all right, it's own. So I heard that her dress here is supposed to represent a poppy, which we're implying that the green elixir is like an opioid. There's obviously a lot with poppies in this movie as a reference to The Wizard of Oz, which I think is very fun. Obviously, we know like poppies are what's used in opioids. In The Wizard of Oz, poppies putting you to sleep is to represent opioids. And I think having her dress as a poppy is supposed to represent that she had like drug addiction, which if you read the book is pretty spot on. While I'm out of your sight.
Like every family, they have their secrets.
Me too, Melina. Me too. A bear would be like a really bad midwife because they've got like claws. Green. I don't know why they whispered green. Does anyone else think this maid or like nurse on the left looks like Ashley Park? Is it just because I want to see Ashley Park in this movie? Like she was my fan cast for Glinda. I feel like she was all of our fan cast for Glinda. She has the voice, she has the acting range. I think she would have been an amazing Glinda.
What's wrong with me? How I speak, how I dress. What's wrong with me?
Like, it's not her. I know it's not her. I tried to look up what actress this was on IMDb. I couldn't find it. So if anyone knows who that is, please let me know. And I would know if Ashley Park was in this movie. So I know it's not her. But like, is it just me wanting to see Ashley Park so bad that I'm like seeing her in things? It kind of looks like her, right? Also, I'm drinking water out of my little Glinda cup that I got from the movies.
Take it away!
Yeah, take it away, honey. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. Please cast me in the HBO Harry Potter series. Please, I'll do anything. She's so cute.
So her nanny, Dulcibert, raised her.
I thought that for this movie, they were gonna add a lot more back from the books. I feel like I had read like interviews and articles that said they were gonna add a lot more in the books. And maybe in part 2, we'll see more of that. But in this movie, they really didn't add anything for the books. So the only thing I can say they added from the books is the fact that Elphaba has a nanny. But Elphaba's nanny in the books is just named Nanny. And she's a human. She's just like an old lady. She's really funny, really sarcastic. Like she calls Melina out on her shit. She calls Elphaba out on her shit. She's funny. The fact that Elphaba has a nanny is maybe the only really extra thing they took from the book. But it's not the same character at all.
Watch your baby sister. Just a clock tick.
Just a clock tick. Young Ness is so cute.
Now,
Have you guys seen the interviews with her?
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know how
So
we got
cute.
here?
No. From the sky. In a balloon.
If you get to me, he grants your heart's desire.
So here's the thing about that. The Grant Your Heart's Desire is pretty much new for this movie. In The Wizard of Oz, they never say that the wizard will grant your heart's desire. All they tell Dorothy is that maybe he knows where Kansas is. Both in the Wizard of Oz book and the Wizard of Oz movie, whether it's the Witch of the North or Glinda, it's still, she gets there, the witch that she meets has no idea where Kansas is and is like, the wizard might know. And that's pretty much what happens in the Wicked book too. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe the wizard knows where Kansas is. And he does. It's actually the one thing he does know is where Kansas is. He doesn't know how to get there, but he does know where it is. That's kind of the only thing he actually does do. They just tell Dorothy maybe he knows where Kansas is and he might know how to get you home. She's the one who makes the promises to everyone else. The Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion, she's the one like, oh, well, the wizard must grant you a brain. Oh, I'm sure he will, surely. Oh, yes, of course the wizard will give you a heart. I'm like, Dorothy, why are you making promises you can't keep? You don't know that. All you've been told is maybe he knows where Kansas is. Dorothy's the one going around telling everyone, oh, surely the wizard will give you what you want. You don't even know that. The wizard didn't even promise that. Dorothy promised that. Anyways, so this narrative that it's known the wizard will grant you their heart's desire, that's new. Dorothy was the one who made that up in The Wizard of Oz. This scene is like giving Matilda. I'm gonna be so for real. Which isn't bad, but it's giving Matilda. And I love Matilda, so no hate. See, Dulcibear's too sweet. Nanny was funny and sassy. I love the choreography in this movie. I want to like learn it all. With these burning of the effigies, it's like Las Fallas. Not that Valencianos are the first people in the world to make up burning effigies, but Las Fallas is a festival that happens in Valencia every year where they spend the whole year building up these effigies, which are called the Fallas, and most of them are political, and then they burn them all down. And it's in March every year, and I went this past year, so here's some pictures that I took at Las Fallas, and here's some of the Fallas that I saw burning down. So when I saw this part in the trailer, my first thought was like, oh my god, it's like Las Fallas. So that was very cool. Ariana absolutely crushes the opt-up. Low-key, like, the sound quality in this movie is not great, and you could hear the opt-up better in that one recording of someone who was driving past the set than you can in the actual movie. Imagine I have much to attend to. What with the wizard's unexpected departure? So if there are no further questions, I'm gonna go. I love this little bubble thing. I think that's really funny. I don't think this flashback montage is necessary because the whole story is about to be the flashback. I don't think we need like a preview of what we're about to see.
You must understand. It was a long time ago.
And we were both so young. I love this intro. I think this is really fun. The fish looked cool in 3D too. The thing is with doing a movie adaptation, you lose one of the best art forms in Broadway, which is the art of the quick change. And so because you don't have the excitement of Glinda coming back on as Glinda in her school uniform, with the quick change, we get this cool like kind of transition intro, and I don't mind it. Switch out my Glinda for my Glinda school uniform. Again with the Wizard of Oz font. How did they get away with that? Don't like that they have her in pink for this entire movie. I think the Broadway show does a really good job at storytelling through the colors the characters are wearing. I think Susan Hilferty is a genius. I think that putting her in pink the entire time was a little lazy, and especially her school uniform being pink just makes no sense. For reference, in the Broadway show, the school uniforms are navy and cream. Everyone wears some combination of navy and cream, and Elphaba wears all navy and Glinda wears all cream, so they stand out from the ensemble but still look like they're wearing proper school uniforms, and I think it's a really good way of doing it. I don't like that in the movie Elphaba and Glinda just like don't really wear school uniforms. It doesn't really make much sense. Glinda's momsy is played by Alice Fern, who was Elphaba on the West End, just so you guys know. I wish we had more Elphaba and Glinda cameos, but there's not a lot. But I'll point out any cameos that there are.
Well, we love you.
Have all your hisses.
Yes.
And you will write.
Yes.
My parents don't even know I left.
Okay, wait, I just want to point out right here that we can see that Bach even when he's leaning over, is taller than Ariana Grande. Everyone's taller than Ariana Grande. Even I'm taller than Ariana Grande, and I'm not taller than anyone usually. But they're gonna keep making all the Munchkin jokes that they make in the musical, but it doesn't make much sense because he's literally taller than her, so it doesn't make sense for her to call him short. So in the musical, the Munchkins are still meant to be short. It's just Buck's not necessarily always played by someone short because that's Broadway, and in the theater you can suspend your disbelief more that someone's supposed to be short even if they're not, because there's understudies, there's standbys. You can't cast one role based on who's cast in the other role, especially just based on height. It doesn't really make much sense. In the movie, they could have cast shorter people to play the Munchkins. In the book, Munchkins is like kind of like an ethnicity, and the nobility that Elphaba comes from are like bred to be taller, but the peasant folk are more the shorter Munchkins that we know. But they're gonna make a lot of short jokes about Buck, even though he's not short. Also, Ethan Slater is hot. He's a bad person, and I don't condone anything he's done, but he just kind of like looks like the hottest guy at Jewish sleepaway camp, you know? Like, all the girls would have a crush on him at Camp Ramah. He went to Camp Ramah, by the way.
You know what I believe, Vic?
It's Vic. It's Buck.
That's true.
Also, I did see Ethan Slater in SpongeBob, and I know it's fun to like make fun of him for being SpongeBob because it sounds funny to say that he was SpongeBob, but it's like he's really fucking good. Like, SpongeBob is a demanding role, as funny as it sounds. He was like belting out songs while like upside down, climbing a rope ladder upside down. It's an impressive role.
I am not a simple sponge. I am not a simple sponge.
Hold. So a big problem I have with Elphaba's characterization in the movie, and I like that each actress who plays these roles gets to put their own spin on it, and so I'm all for Cynthia having her own interpretation of the character, but they make Elphaba in this movie very, very calm, very demure. But Elphaba in the musical and the book is supposed to be like this firecracker, this like loud, passionate, rash person who doesn't think before she speaks and is angry all the time because of what she's been through, and that's why she turns into the Wicked Witch of the West. In this movie, she is too calm, and they take a lot of her lines from the musical and they keep the lines exactly the same, but they're delivered so differently that it changes her personality. So I want you to listen to what she's about to say, how she says it in the movie, and then how she says it in the musical, so you can see the difference. But the problem is they keep her lines the same, but they change how she says it. And so instead of being angry all the time, she's very calm. But then people respond to her in the same way they responded to her in the musical. In the musical, she says something angry, and everyone's like, whoa, calm down. In the movie, she says something very calm, and everyone's like, whoa, calm down, and then it doesn't make sense. And it makes her seem like this amazing person who could do no wrong in the movie, rather than her being more of a morally gray character. It makes it seem like everyone's just horrible to her, everyone's bullying her, you know, she does absolutely nothing wrong, and everyone just hates her solely because of her skin color. Whereas in the musical and the book, she's like kind of a bitch. And so it's not just because of her skin color that people hate her. Like, yes, they judge her for that, but also she's very defensive. She's very quick to anger. She's always yelling at people, and that's why they don't like her. And so by making her character much more calm, it makes everyone else around her, especially Glinda, look worse. And so I don't think Ariana played Glinda in an unlikable way. I think she played her the way she's played on stage. But because Elphaba is played to be so likable, to be so perfect in this movie, to have no faults whatsoever, it makes Glinda less likable because she's reacting to Elphaba's perfectness instead of reacting to Elphaba also being mean to her.
Fine. Let's get this over with.
No, I'm not seasick. No, I did not eat grass as a child. And yes, I've always been green. Compared to in the musical where she goes, no, I am not seasick. Yes, I've always been green. No, I didn't eat grass as a child. And then everyone's like, whoa, calm down. In this, it makes less sense for everyone to have that reaction to her.
What? What are you all looking at? Oh, I have something in my teeth. All right, fine, we might as well get this over with. No, I am not seasick. Yes, I've always been green. No, I didn't eat grass as a child. This is my younger sister, Nessa Rose. As you can see, she's a perfectly normal color.
Stop making a spectacle of yourself.
That you have been forced to this. Major in sorcery.
See, they made Glinda less likable in this movie. In the musical, she's just kind of like a ditz, and like she says some wrong things, but she's overall likable because you know her heart's kind of in the right place. But in the movie, they really like made her awful. And that's not Ariana's acting, it's the writing a little bit, but I love her hair tosses. But they made Glinda a lot less likable.
I could care less what others think.
Couldn't. You couldn't care less.
I like that they put this in because it's like my biggest pet peeve when people say I could care less. That being said, it's like weird to put this in when they don't like speak English. They speak like an Aussian language and they have all these made up words. So correcting grammar like doesn't really make much sense in this world. There's like something weird going on with Nessa Rose's jacket in this scene. I think because they have the harness under it, but I don't know why it has to look like so bad. I don't see color. I love Bo and Yang. So I think it's really fun and a really nice nod that they put the silver slippers in a ruby encrusted case to kind of give a little hint to the audience. In case you're wondering, yes, these are the silver slippers. I've seen a lot of like fan theories of like, do you think these are going to be the ruby slippers? I didn't know. I thought like the Wizard of Oz book was common knowledge, but I guess it's not. The slippers are silver. They're not ruby. They were only ruby in the movie because of Technicolor. They're meant to be silver. It's actually very important that they're silver because the whole Wizard of Oz book is a commentary on the populist movement at the time.
The gold standard versus the silver standard. The Albert Road representing the gold standard, the slippers representing the silver standard, like industry versus farmers in the late 1800s. I won't get into all of that.
It is actually important that the slippers are silver, and they were only turned to red in the movie to look good in Technicolor against the Albert Road. And they were right. It does look really good in that movie. Love the ruby slippers, but I'm glad they kept it to silver. Obviously the ruby slippers are under MGM copyright, so it'd be really expensive to use them, but also they're just supposed to be silver. I like that they put them in a ruby case, so for the audience who doesn't know they're supposed to be silver, it's like, just so you know, ruby slippers, we're showing you. I think it's a nice little touch. Well, what would get me? I clash with everything. She didn't sprout off, though. That's the thing. In the musical, she does sprout off. In the movie, she's very calm, so it doesn't make sense. I will say, in the musical, Nessa Rose is my favorite character. Like, when asked, like, would you play Alpha or Glinda? Like, I would love to play Nessa Rose. In this movie, I just don't really feel any emotions towards her. It's not like Marissa Bodie's fault. I think she's a great actress, and I'm glad she's being played with, like, actual disabled representation. But something about the way it's written or the way she's played, I'm not sure. I just don't connect with her in this movie. She just doesn't have much of a personality. I think it's because they wanted so hard for her to be good representation for the disabled community that they took away all of her flaws, and she's just kind of left with like being a boring person who's just there. Like, they took away all of her personality to make sure they weren't like representing disabled people in a bad way, but now she's just kind of nothing. She doesn't really have a personality in this movie. She's a lot less interesting, I think, than she is in the musical.
No, you won't. You'll be having too good a time.
So for those who don't know, this is a change from the musical. In the musical, Elphaba is originally enrolled as a student. And in the book, Elphaba actually comes to school first, like a year before Nessa Rose comes. So this is entirely new.
Don't stop hurrying. Just do what I say.
I also feel like the actor playing Frex, his acting's not great. It's like kind of giving Disney Channel. Like, I just feel like there's so many talented actors that probably auditioned for this movie, and I don't know why it doesn't feel like the acting skills are there. Mombi. That's a reference. He's very cute. I like Dr. Dillerman in this.
Which is why we are privileged to have our esteemed Madame Marble.
So the change for Madame Morrible to just be the Dean of Sorcery and not also the headmistress is an interesting change. Like, they cast Keala Settle as the headmistress. I think they should have just cast Keala Settle as Madame Morrible because she is actually a Broadway actress who can sing. For those who don't know, Keala Settle was in The Greatest Showman and she was in Waitress on Broadway. I love Michelle Yeoh. Like, she is great in Crazy Rich Asians, but I don't think she was right for this role. She's not a Broadway actress. Shirley Ralph, who played the role on Broadway, auditioned for it in the movie, and she's amazing. I think she would have crushed it, or it could have just been Keala Settle if she was going to be in the movie anyways. I'm not really sure why they made up the character of Miss Coddle. And it also makes it seem like Madame Morrible just doesn't do anything, because if all she does is teach sorcery, and she only teaches sorcery when someone special comes along, like, what is she doing most of the time? She's just got tenure. She just chills and does nothing and gets her tenure money. I mean, go for her. Go off, queen. I really like her costumes, though. I think the costumes did the best job with Madame Morrible's costumes. I like they gave, like, Nessa and Bach a little, like, kind of flirtation before they get together, like a little foreshadowing that's going somewhere. Because in the musical, they don't talk to each other until Glinda sets them up.
And congratulations for having
Congratulations. Sounds like you're, like, putting on lotion.
Whether you'll be studying law,
Roger? Or linguification? I know I speak for my fellow faculty members
when I say we have
nothing but the highest hopes for
some of you.
Also, the movie takes a lot of lines that are funny in the musical and makes it like funny to the characters. Like that line is in the musical, but the characters aren't laughing. The characters are supposed to be scared of her, and the audience laughs at that line. In the movie, they take a lot of lines from the musical that are just supposed to be funny to the audience and make it also funny to the characters, which is like a little meta.
I am Madame Marble, head Shiz here at Shiz University. And whether you are here to study law, logic, or linguification, I know I speak for my fellow faculty members when I say we have nothing but the highest hopes for some of you. Excuse me.
Like, why even have her in it if she's not gonna sing? Oh, okay. In the movie theater, I could have sworn I saw Sebastian Archelaus, who played Fiyero, is Stephanie J. Block's husband. I'm realizing right now that says, this is what I saw, Sebastiana. It almost looks like it says Bridgerton. And then Asher, that's what I saw that I thought said Sebastian Archelaus. But I want to read all of these names and see if there's any Easter eggs of, like, names we should know. Glinda Upland, Emma Clutch. Okay, I don't think any of these are Easter eggs. Fanny Fan. Oh. You see what I said? I thought it said Sebastian Archelaus in the movie theater, and then I was like, oh, are there more Easter eggs of old actors from Wicked? But I don't think there are. Missed opportunity to not put some Easter eggs on those names.
I am Glinda Upland.
Of the upper uplands.
Seminar. Perhaps you recall my essay? Magic wands.
Do they have a point?
Well, dear, I don't teach my seminar every semester.
Right, so she's just chilling on her tenure. Good for her, you know? So for people who don't know, all of Miss Coddle's lines in the movie are Madame Morble's lines in the musical. They made up the Miss Coddle character and kind of like split Madame Morble's character in half. Just a slight gulch. Easter egg.
We'll find some place to hide you. I mean,
She's just such a good character actor. Why didn't she just play Madame Morrible? They're good.
you don't understand. Stop!
See, this angry magic kind of comes out of nowhere because she's not an angry person in the movie. In the musical, she's angry and aggressive, and so this intense, aggressive magic makes sense, but in the movie, she's not an aggressive person, so this magic really kind of comes out of nowhere. But I think the special effects are fun. In case you missed it, animals used to teach here, and we're covering up their history. I do love Elphaba's like Victorian-esque outfits. She's also like Victorian-esque in the musical, and that's like my favorite era of fashion, so I'm a big fan of like the sleeves and the collars. I love Victorian fashion. Did you visually see that? A little pitter patter in the back is
Which of
funny.
you would volunteer to share a room?
Madame Marble.
You can room with Miss Glinda.
Ah, I didn't get my way. Let's lie down. We need a pastry. One thing that I really like is that they have Bowen Yang in this movie, giving it a little comic relief, because I feel like the movie is a lot more serious than the musical, and that's because the medium, like movie, kind of has to be more serious than the musical. And so they take a lot of the comedic scenes in the musical and make them a lot more serious, which is fine, but I think it does still need the comic relief. So I think adding in Bowen Yang and like letting him kind of ad-lib whatever he wants was a great call, and thank you to Ariana for pushing for him to be in it. I mean, I'm an SNL like fanatic. I'm a religious watcher. I never miss an episode. So I love that they got Bowen Yang in this. For a gift like yours to appear, why I predict the wizard might make you his magic grand vizier. Did that really just happen? Have I actually understood? I like her acting in this scene. Meet the wizard, what I've waited for since birth. Do you think the wizard is dumb or like Munchkin, so small-minded? No. No, father is not proud of you. No, sister act shamed. I always like that it said sister act. It made me think of Sister Act, like the musical. So this set right here looks exactly like Park Güell in Barcelona. If any of you guys have been, here's a picture of me in Park Güell, but it was rainy and cloudy that day, so the colors aren't as vibrant as they normally are. So like, here's a picture of what it normally looks like. The benches that they have in this little set, I had to have been based off Park Güell, which is funny because Oz is like somewhere with no sea. So the fact that it looks very like Mediterranean is very funny. We're so
superior. Right here, it looks just like Parkwell. I love what they did here with the glass and the colors. This was a genius use of like color and like cinematography. I love what they did there. Okay, this shot of Jeff Goldblum's face is so funny. It also makes no sense because no one's supposed to know what he looks like. The whole point of why he has the big head and he does all this fake magic is to give this illusion of this larger than life magical being, and no one knows he's just like a human man. So if anything, they should have the like mechanical face plastered all over things, not Jeff Goldblum's literal face, because no one is supposed to know what he really looks like or who he really is. So it doesn't make sense, but also it's just like so funny. Like, it's like Mount Rushmore, but Jeff Goldblum. I don't know. This is like so silly to me. But also, okay, so I didn't know why they like zoomed in on the chin in the movie. When I saw it in theaters, people said you see something on it. I couldn't see it in theaters, so I'm gonna like look closely now. Apparently, you're supposed to be able to see the crowd that she's envisioning, but I could not see that in the movie theater. Oh, okay, I do see crowds cheering. I guess that's probably from No One Mourns the Wicked. Okay, I see it now, but you have to look really closely. They could have made it a little more clear, because it's really hard to see that. It's all to do. So one of my problems with this, and there's a Kevin Lynch video that talks about it in more depth that I recommend, is that she takes a breath in between me and. So in the musical, I'll play it for you because I can't sing. It carries into the next note. It's all to do with me. Stand there with a wizard. No breath in between me and. So it's like the climax of the song. A celebration throughout ours. That's all to do with me. But in this, she takes a breath. And I know, like, Cynthia Erivo can hold the note, so it's not like she couldn't hold the note. It was like a direction choice, or maybe she did hold the note in some takes because it was like live singing and they chose a take where she didn't. I don't know why they made that choice. It's like the climax of the song, and then you like take a breath and you lose the momentum. When we get to Defying Gravity, I will go more into depth about how John M. Chu knows how to kill the momentum of a climactic song. Why take a breath there? She can do it. I'd be so happy I could melt, held in such high esteem. I like this little, her flying. It's fun. So the other thing I want to say is that in this movie, Shiz apparently is right by the impassable desert. That's not the case in the musical or the book, but they changed the map of Shiz for the movie. So Shiz is supposed to be in the south of the Gilligan, kind of close to the Emerald City, which is more in the middle of Oz, not at the edge next to the impassable desert. But whatever, they changed the map for the movie. I guess it's fine. But in the theaters, I was like, that's not where Shiz is. It's not next to the desert. But they did actually make a new map for the movie, so whatever. Bluebirds flying over the rainbow. And she's so talented. She's so talented. I wish she looked a little uglier here. Like, in the Broadway show, Elphaba's a lot more like frumpy in the beginning with her like little blue knit hat or like crocheted hat. They make her look like too good, like with her nice Victorian high collar. Like, she needs to look like a little less like she cares about fashion. She's supposed to like not care what she looks like at all. And in this, she like looks like she put a lot of effort into her outfit, which doesn't match her character. Oh, that was Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Oh, I didn't notice that before. The rainbow. Yeah, they did Over the... Yeah, they played a little Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and then it went to Dear Old Shiz. See, I love Ariana's performance. Actually, I think she's so funny. But also, they made her a lot less likable in this. Like, this whole scene is not in the musical. Oh, I do not. I was promised a private suite. But thanks for asking. Why are her eyelashes so big? They're like really aggressive.
I'm just gonna close the door.
This part's weird. I don't know why they added in this whole window argument. It makes it seem like it's gonna be important, but it's not.
You know what I mean?
It's great.
It's great.
Her eyelashes are like really aggressive in this movie. I don't think I really paid attention to that before.
You know, I asked really nicely.
And I saved you this whole drawer. See, I need it. That's good. I want her to get
angry more often. Enjoy your hair.
Guess what?
Guess what? I love the little additions they did to this part.
I can't
Here,
hear
your guesses, because this is a letter. I wonder if Ariana came up with that or if that was in the script. There's been some confusion over rooming here at Shiz. Okay, so my problem with some of the cinematography and the directing in this movie is it's kind of giving Disney Channel original movie a little bit, and specifically zombies because of the sickly green and pink they're in everything. The musical's not all green and pink, by the way, but the movie, it's like no other colors in the world exist. And a lot of the montages and the split screens that they chose to do in this movie is not helping. So like, here's some footage from zombies. You can see what I'm talking about.
Right here! Come together, be the best one ever, because it's my time. This is gonna be my year.
I don't really understand some of the choices. Like, a split screen here really wasn't necessary. They're in the same room. We either could do a wide shot of them both or switch back and forth like they do in other shots in this room. I don't really understand why we did a split screen. It looks a little weird and like a little juvenile. Like, some of the montages and the split screens kind of seem like middle schoolers making a film project and being like, look how cool this is, I'm good at editing. But it's like, I don't know, for such a high budget movie, phenomenon of the year, like some of these choices are like, I don't know, it feels like a middle schooler could have done it. I don't know, it could have been done a little better. But of course, I'll rise above it. And moving in the split screens is weird too. Like here, the moving within a split screen, I don't like that. You need to be static in a split screen. Unusually and exceedingly peculiar and altogether quite impossible to describe. Blonde. I think this is a fun sequence, and I like how in this song they use every beat of the song to have a movement. My pulse is rushing, my head is reeling, yeah, well, my face is flushing. Yeah. Loathing, unadulterated loathing. Like the camera movements, I don't love it. It's kind of a lot. I like that they're messing with each other. I think this is fun. This montage I don't mind. I'll point out later in the movie where things didn't need to be a montage, but this is fun because it's taking place over multiple days. It came on fast. Like all the panning. It's like middle school film project. Like, look, I know how to pan. I know how to zoom. Unnecessary pause right here. Why did we stop the song? Sigh. I do like that we get to just see more classes at Shiz throughout this sequence. It's so pure, so strong. Okay, so my problem here, this is a problem I have with a lot of movie musicals, and I had a lot of faith that this movie would not have this problem because John M. Chu did such a good job directing In the Heights. I love watching dance. I love big ensemble numbers. I want to watch the dancers in a big dance number. I don't want to watch the leads, who typically are not dancers. During a big ensemble number in movie musicals, they tend to make this mistake of zooming in on the leads instead of showing the big ensemble. And John M. Chu's done a really good job in the Heights of not doing that. Like this shot where Usnavi's looking through the window, and so you do see his face and his facial expressions. You also see the whole ensemble dancing. Genius.
Yeah, I'm a street light choking on the heat. The world spins around while I'm frozen to my seat. The people that I know I'll keep on rolling down the street. But every day is different, so I'm switching up the beat. Because my parents came with nothing. They got a little more and sure with Paul. But yo, at least we got the store. And it's all about the legacy they left with me. It's destiny. And one day I'll be on the beach with Sunny writing checks to me.
Genius. Love it. So I had a lot of faith in John M. Chu, and I was a little disappointed with some of these big dance numbers that they do the zoom in on the lead problem. And so right here, you can see there's all of these dancers doing this choreography. They hired all of these ensemble members. They hired a choreographer. They spent time learning the dance in rehearsals, doing this, to then, watch in a second, to zoom in on Ariana for the rest of the dance. And all of these dancers around the side learn to dance for nothing. And I don't like that. Like, and now we can't see these dancers that learned this complicated dance. We just see Ariana walking. I want to see the dancers. So this part, it kind of felt like they just couldn't decide what to do for the button. Should we keep the boo from the musical, or should we do our own thing like they did the little like, which is fine. I don't really have strong feelings about it. But like, you gotta choose a button. They kind of were just like, let's do 4 different buttons. Let's just not end the song. Because we can't decide which take to keep in. So we'll just keep them all. I like the little barn door. Glinda. It's Glinda with a G.
No, every other professor manages to pronounceify my name.
So the musical has a lot of Aussian words like confusified and swinkified. The movie adds in even more Aussian words to the point where I think it's a little too much. Like, I think the musical is just the right amount where it's fun, it's quirky, it's like, oh, little fake word, we're in a different world. The movie, it's like, what if every single word they said was a fake word? And I think it's a little too much.
Maybe the pronunciation of your precious name is not the sole focus of Dr. Dillamond's life. Maybe Dr. Dillamond is not like every other professor. Maybe some of us are just different.
Well, it seems the artichoke is steamed.
So this is another example of what I was talking about before, but they take a line Elphaba says in the musical very angrily, and they keep the same line in the movie, but she says it very calm, so then the reactions don't make sense. Because in the musical, Elphaba is like, maybe perfecting the pronunciation of your name is not the sole focus of Dr. Dillamond's life. Maybe he's not like every other professor. Maybe some of us are different. And then it's like, well, seems the artichoke is steamed. Because she was steamed. She was angry.
It's Glinda with a Ga.
Yes, of course. Glinda!
I really don't see what the problem is. Every other professor seems to be able to pronounce my name. Maybe perfecting the pronunciation of your precious name is not the sole focus of Dr. Dillamond's life, and maybe he's not like every other professor. Maybe some of us are different. So, it seems the artichoke is steamed. It's Glinda with a Ga.
Yes, of course. Glinda!
I really don't see what the problem is. Every other professor seems to be able to pronounce my name.
Maybe perfecting the pronunciation of your precious name is not the sole focus of Dr. Dillamond's life. Maybe he's not like every other professor. Maybe some of us are different.
Well, it seems the artichoke is steamed.
Here, she's very calm. Maybe some of us are different. So then, it seems the artichoke is steamed doesn't make much sense because she wasn't steamed here. She was very calm. So you change Elphaba's characterization, it makes Glinda look worse. Also, not to compare actresses or say who I would have thought was better in the role, but Ariana in this scene is a little bit, in this shot, is like kind of giving Dove Cameron with the way she frowns. With the big lower lip. I can't do it. I can't make my face look like that, but that she does is like very Dove Cameron.
Liv is really expressive with her bottom lip when she's sad, and Maddie gets really like upper lip.
And obviously a lot of people wanted Dove Cameron in the role. I'm not going to go into all of that, but I do think she would have been amazing in the role.
July 17th. What a night. After the show, Sam rode me over to the little island, and we danced on the beach, and we kissed on the beach, and... ... What? ... It's what they did in the olden days. Sam's the one. I know he is. I've never felt like this before. Honey, honey, how he thrills me. Honey, honey. That's not what I think about. That's not what I see. Then it grows, then it fills the
Well, it seems the artichoke is steamed.
That face is giving Dove Cameron. Anyways, I thought that when I first saw it in the theaters. I was like, that looks like Dove Cameron right there. Glinda. I like all the devices he has that are for the animals, like how he can kick the projector on. I like the idea that there's all these different devices for animals. I need to look more closely at these images. I didn't look closely at them in the movie theater.
An equation or an answer.
Explicating a sonnet.
When and why did this change?
From what I've read, The Great Drought.
By the way, in case you didn't know, it's based off this like storyline is like raise your hand. This storyline is based off of like 1930s Germany and what was going on to the Jews, and so the Great Drought is like the Great Depression and how like Germans blamed Jews for the Great Depression, and Hitler used that to rally the people against the Jews because they already blamed the Jews for the Great Depression. So that was kind of the start of the Holocaust. Anyways.
Angry. Well, then they begin to look for
someone to blame. They took out the lines where Dr. Dillman says in the musical token goat and scapegoat. I guess they thought it was like a little too on the nose. They're like, we'll show not tell. Glinda just teaches history instead of always harping on the past. This shot is weird. It's like, I guess it's supposed to be really intense, but the way his goat face looks from head on, I don't know, something about it weirds me out. I like the inclusion of poppies in the movie as a little like nod to what's going to happen in The Wizard of Oz. It's fun. Very sweet.
Eyes shut, toes clenched.
Toes clenched. I like that we get these additional scenes of the sorcery lessons. I wish we had more than one. I wish we got to see her progress over time, and also once Glinda joins. I wish we got to see more of it, but I really like they added this in.
Someone wrote those horrendous words.
Also in the musical, Elphaba is the only character that doesn't use Ozian words, and it makes her more like relatable to the audience. So by having her say all the Ozian words, it's not as good. See, we need more of that fire, that anger. It's good. See, this feels like the exact same conversation they had right before The Wizard and I. I don't know if we needed the exact same conversation again. I love this like extra scene of seeing where he lives. I love that he's on stilts. It's so fun. I didn't notice that the first time. And the idea, because we see that Madame Morble lives on campus, probably in like nice campus housing, and he lives like in a barn. It almost seems like he's not allowed to live on campus, probably. A deer? A cow, actually. I don't know what all these animals are supposed to be. Like the deer, when I was watching the movie, I was like, what is that? Is it a deer? I can't tell. I looked up, it's a piebald deer. Never heard of that. And then the weird little like meerkat type thing that looks kind of like the Lorax. I don't know what that's supposed to be. This guy. It's just like the Lorax. I don't know what he is. Heard of an ox, a professor from Quarks no longer. Okay, so this also, I need to look closely because in the movie theater, I could not tell what was going on in these silhouettes. And someone said that they thought the bear scene from the book is in these silhouettes, which would be really interesting. So I'm going to look a lot closer at these silhouettes because I couldn't see what was going on in the movie theater.
Okay. I think it's just what he's talking about. Like that, yeah, that looks like a pig, or I guess maybe an ox that's being... Yeah, that's an owl. Yeah, it's just the animals he's talking about getting tied up, like chained up. There's a horse, a bird... That was like a dog.
That looked like a kangaroo. Oh, there's the bears. It was the bears. Oh, that's good. That's good. The bears were in it from the book. Take it away, Annie. It's going to be a bumpy ride. When I watched the movie the first time, I definitely thought the animals would all still be in here and she would like join the group. But I guess there's a back door that they all left out of. Somehow, without us seeing. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's the new map of Oz in the background. You can see it on the Shiz University website. I love when people in movies dramatically brandish a lantern.
Listen to me.
I love the little cup with the hoof hold. It's really cool. So nothing bad. I'm trying to read the details on the board. Beyond Oz, Impossible Desert, Mountain Munch. How does glasses stay on his face normally? They fall off that easily. How does he keep them on? How does he put them on himself?
God bless you, Dr. Dillman.
Let's bless you. Like as if he sneezed.
Jonathan Bailey on his horse from Bridgerton. I love Jonathan Bailey. He's a little too old for this role, and well, so is pretty much everyone in this movie, so whatever. Also, I really wish they'd cast a person of color, because Fiyero in the book is a person of color. In the musical, the original cast was Norbert Leo Butz, who is white. He's been played by people of different ethnicities throughout the Broadway run, because there's so many different cast members. I think that this movie would have been a really great opportunity to return a little bit more to book Fiyero and give us back that representation that was originally in the book and then was taken away in the musical. So I was a little disappointed with the casting, and I also don't understand why he kept his British accent. Also, the implication of riding a talking horse is really weird, because, like, that's his friend, but he rides him. Like, does he pay him? Like, I can understand a horse agreeing, like, as a job to be, like, someone who transports people and, like, gets paid for it, but are they friends, or is he paying him? Because it's really weird to, like, force your friend to, like, give you a piggyback ride everywhere. I don't know. I think, like, the idea of him riding a talking horse is weird. I don't like the implications. Promise me you'll think of the implications.
We didn't see you there. You must have
blended with the foliage.
Blended with the foliage. No, sometimes I'm asleep.
See, his quirky, like, I sleep all the time, I get kicked out of school, like, doesn't work because he looks like 38, which is how old he is. It's not funny or cute for, like, a 38-year-old to be like, oh, I don't care about life. I just sleep all the time and do whatever I want. It's like, grow up, you know? These characters are supposed to be, like, 17, which would make more sense.
Eat grass as a child.
You didn't. I did. It's interesting they have them basically, like, fall for each other right at the beginning. That is not how it happens in the musical. I've noticed people that have just watched the movie call him Prince Fiyero. Like, when you see TikToks of people who've just watched the movie, they're like, I love Prince Fiyero, as if, like, that's his name. Just call him Fiyero. It would make sense as a title to call him, like, Prince Tiggelar, but you wouldn't say the first name. Like, in Bridgerton, he's not Lord Anthony or Viscount Anthony. He's either Anthony or Lord Bridgerton or Viscount Bridgerton, right? Like, you wouldn't say Prince Fiyero. But I've noticed on TikTok and stuff, a lot of people who've only watched the movie calling him Prince Fiyero as if that's just what his name is. Nobody who's watched the musical would ever call him Prince Fiyero. I need those shoes. It's a crime that we didn't get him in the white pants from the musical. I'm just saying. And roll your
Just to move out the way.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's anything.
I love Bonnier. He's so funny.
Are you looking for something? Or someone?
No, I was...
What was I doing?
What was I doing?
Well, I promised to give a guided tour to any recently arrived students, so...
The pants should have been white. I love this set. I think this is so cool. It's like very Harry Potter. I love this spinning library. I really like the sets for this movie. The book place.
And some medium wear as well.
Yeah, it's where they have him like crushing on her right from the beginning. But I don't mind it, I guess. What's the most swankified place in town? We all missed that line, right? And swankified? They could have still put in the word swankified. Just saying.
Backwoodsman.
See, they're making a short joke. He's got to stand on the books to be tall. He's already tall. I don't believe you. He's already taller than Ariana. We saw that. I really want to learn the choreography for this number, so don't mind me if I start doing it really poorly. This is one of my favorite songs from the musical. I don't think he really did that flip, or else we would have seen his face, right? That was a double. I don't know why they made the choice to make that note like in head voice, but it doesn't really matter. Stop studying.
Stop studying strife.
So where the kisses are. Okay, in this shot, his head looks so big. I don't know if he has a big head or if this librarian actress has a small head. If it's the angle, if he's like closer to the camera than she is, but doesn't his head look giant? Like, this looks weird, right? His head looks giant. I don't know what's up with that. For your viewing pleasure, I'm gonna add in a little clip of Aaron Tveit doing Dancing Through Life, because you need to see the booty in those white pants, and you need to see him swinging from the statue. That is something we miss in the movie. I would have loved to see him swinging from a statue in white pants. So here's a little Aaron Tveit for your viewing pleasure. Everyone's favorite Fiyero.
Dancing through life, spreading, sweeping, and always keeping Life is thoughtless when you're heartless. Those who don't try never look foolish. Dancing life, mindless and careless. You should go where less trouble is right. Woes are fleeting, woes are glancing. You're dancing through life.
Okay, I'm gonna try dancing. I really like the use of this library set. I think it's so much fun. Mindless and careless, make sure you're aware lest trouble is rife. Woes are fleeting, blows are glancing when you're dancing through the... So I really like, actually, in the musical, when he says prettiest girl, Bach tries to grab Glinda and then he cuts in to take Glinda. I actually like that in this, he didn't even go for Glinda at all. Like, in the movie, he doesn't care about her, like, at all. In the musical, it seems like he likes her in the beginning and then later realizes really Elphaba is who he needs. But in the movie, it seems like he never even likes her to start. Like, when he says prettiest girl, he goes for a different girl. He doesn't even really care about her. I don't really have the space in here to do that dance. The one in the chair, go on a spree, and a she-G. You're perfect. Dance. I like that move where he puts his arms over her head. Ooh, I like that. It's ridiculous. This silly rich boy shows up, and all of a sudden, everyone's off to worship him at some cultish social gathering.
Glinda emboldened
Encouragerized him. Finally, for this one night, I'm about to have a fun night with this munchkin boy. Glinda found for me something I could do for her to repay her. Me and Bach. I don't think the way she says Bach is that weird. She just kind of laughs while she says it. It's not that crazy. Okay, I love this dress on her because it's the first time she's actually wearing bright colors. Like, I think the pastels really wash her out. Also, it matches kind of like the eye makeup I did with the pink and gold that's not showing up on this camera. But I like that we finally are seeing her in some bright colors. She looks a lot more lively in it. Okay, this is such a nitpick because they do this in the musical too. But Oz doesn't have seas or oceans, so they wouldn't know what a sea is. So her saying, like, am I whatever, the scandalicious fish in the sea? And it happens in the musical too. They talk about seas. It's not something I even really noticed until recently, but they wouldn't know what a sea is because they don't have that in Oz.
I don't hate anyone that much.
Yes, you do.
Hi.
Hey!
We should go.
Rouge our knees.
Rouge our knees and roll my stockings down.
Glinda.
Glinda. She really pronounced the G there.
You have nothing to wear. You could wear this.
Sure.
Don't you think? Is this yours, pink?
I love this scene of them all sneaking out together. It really reminds me of how the friend group is in the book, because they really are just a whole bunch of misfits in the book. And I know we have that montage that was filmed, that was cut out. Maybe it'll be released at some point. But I love the, like, sneaking to the boats and all, like, giggling. It's so cute. Like, look how fun! They're just having fun. They're just kids. 40-year-old kids. I think this set is very cool, but it is weird that it's just like a bar and there's adults here, very different from the musical. It's kind of like a mix between the Philosophy Club from the book and the Ozdes from the musical. What's in the punch? Lemons and melons and pears. Oh my. So Nessa, yes, Nessa, I've got something to confess. I will defend this line until the day I die. I know a lot of people think it's stupid, not just from the movie. Like, I had this argument like 2 years ago with one of my friends in college because he was like, the lyricism in Wicked is like so bad, it's so juvenile. And he's like, what's confessa? And that's like a common sentiment where people think it's like one of the made up Ozian words. He's not saying confessa. He's saying confess, comma, I've got something to confess. A reason why, well, why I asked you here tonight. It's really good because Stephen Schwartz does that a lot, where he breaks up words and lines to get the rhyme scheme. And a lot of people think he makes up these Aussian words to work in the rhyme scheme, but that's not the truth, because most of the Aussian words are in the spoken dialogue, and some of it's in the songs, but not in the rhymes. The only time where he actually does do that, and it's a little lazy, is disgustified. And what is this feeling? Poor Glinda, forced to reside with someone so disgustified. It does feel like for that line, they just like couldn't come up with a word that rhymes with reside, so they made up disgustified. That's the one where I'll give it to you, like that one seems a little lazy, but most of the Aussian words are not used for rhymes. And this is not an Aussian word. He's not saying, I've got something to confessa to rhyme with Nessa. He's saying, I've got something to confess, a reason why. I will defend this line forever. I think it's really good. Why I asked you here tonight. Fuck, I know why. It's because I'm in this chair and you felt sorry for me. Well, isn't that right? No, it's actually much worse than that. It's because someone else felt sorry for you. And we deserve each other. Don't you see this is our chance? You know what? Let's dance. What? This is my audition for Nessa Rose, Broadway show. Please cast me. Okay, I really do like that there he pulls her arms and not her wheelchair. Like in the musical, he says, let's dance, and then he grabs her wheelchair. I like that he grabs her instead of her wheelchair. But it also makes me a little nervous that he's going to pull her right out. Like, I think for the purpose of the scene, she was strapped to it. But like in real life, like what if you just like pulled her out and she like fell on her face? Oh, I forgot to point out earlier that she was wearing striped socks. So the fact that they made in the movie it be like illegal for them to go to the Oz's ballroom makes it so much weirder for Madame Morrible to show up. Like in the musical, that's not established that they can't go. They go, they have a fun night. There's nothing saying it's forbidden. So it's not as weird. It's still kind of weird that Morrible shows up there, but not as weird. In the movie, it's like so weird that she shows up and no one's like, oh, like you expect it to almost be like a Disney Channel movie when like they have to like throw a secret prom and then hide it when the chaperone comes. Oh, everyone hide, quick, blah, blah, blah. But like she doesn't care and nobody is like, oh my God, oh, Madame Morrible, oh, I'm gonna hide.
No. Why are you so enough?
She's done with your shit.
Actually, I have no faith in you. My personal opinion
is that you do not have what it takes. I hope you prove me wrong. I doubt you will. What's funny about them making this take place at like a bar, that there's other people there, like in the musical, we don't know there's other people there. It's a ballroom. It seems like they rented out like a prom. But in the movie, it's just like a club and there's other adults there. So they're all laughing at her. And I'm like, you're all grown ass adults like laughing at a teenager. If I were an adult and I was at this club and then all these like teenagers showed up, I'd be like, time to get out of here. I'd be like, can someone, these kids are all under 21. Can someone get them out of here? Or like, let's leave. We don't need to be here with a bunch of college kids. It's funny that these like grown ass adults are laughing at her. Like, get a life. Like you and your flapper dress. Why are they all wearing flapper dresses also? It's weird. It doesn't really fit with the Aussian aesthetic. Like, it's grown ass adult laughing. Get a life. The Ozdas duet is one of my favorite scenes in the musical, and I'm so glad they like expanded on it in the movie and like let it breathe more, because it's already so emotional in the musical. This scene made me cry in the movie, but it probably won't make me cry right now because the way I'm doing this video, I'm pausing every 5 seconds. I'm not fully taking it in as much, but this scene makes me cry like in the Broadway show, and I'm really glad they did it the way they did in the movie and really like gave it the emotion it deserves. This shot makes it look like something important's about to happen. Like some magic, but then it doesn't.
She doesn't give a tweet when anyone thinks.
Of course she does. She just pretends not to. May I get in? I like this little wave thing they added in. In the musical, it's like...
May I come in?
it's gonna get me because I'm pausing too much. I'm not absorbing it as much, but I did cry in the theaters at this point, so don't worry, I'm not heartless. Averick, for his 1 second that he wasn't cut out. And the strange thing, your life could end up changing while you're dancing through. That's one of my favorite lines from the show. And the strange thing, your life could end up changing. This is a cool shot with the bubbles turning into the stars. That's fun.
That was your first party ever.
Did funerals count?
See, that's another example, the Do Funerals Count, and then Glinda laughing, of them taking a line from the musical that's just meant to be funny to the audience, but making it funny to the characters. Like, now it seems like Alpha was being funny on purpose, whereas in the musical, I think she just, like, really thought funerals maybe counted.
Your very first party ever? Do funerals count? Oh, it's your very first party.
The Popular scene, like the scene before Popular, was done very well. I have, like, really no notes. It's pretty much spot on to what happens in the musical. I like that each actress, like, does the Popular scene differently and puts her own spin on it. I like how it's done here. I don't have much to say about it. I told you a really good one.
My father hates me.
What?
That's not the secret.
My sister is the way she is.
Green. And her little legs.
All tangled.
And Elsie?
Can I call you Elsie?
Elsie. And you can call me
Glinda.
Glinda.
Now that we're friends, I've decided to make you my new project.
Make you my new project.
I know. That's what makes me so nice. I simply have to take over. I know. I know. The bed shot. I'm a Gelfie truther, by the way. My bracelet says Gelfie. I got this at the Wicked 20th anniversary show. Someone was handing out friendship bracelets. Never mind.
Yeah.
I'll put those right back on you. That part's so funny. She does that in the musical too. Like, she takes off her glasses and then puts them back on. But I love the added. Never mind. Just gonna put those right back on you.
And even in your case, though it's the toughest case I've yet to face.
They added a lot of head voice to this song. It's normally more chesty and belty. Will be dramatic pause that goes on for a very long time. Popular. You're gonna be popular. This dress, I need this dress in the middle. This middle one right here, ever since I saw this in theaters, I was like, I want that middle dress. It's gorgeous. I want it to be my wedding dress. Let me insert a picture of my prom dress so I can show you, like, my style. Like, I love this dress in the middle. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, this dress on the left, screen left, also kind of like looks like those shot Renette dresses with the puffy sleeves. I really like that too. But this middle one I've been obsessed with since I saw the movie. So if anyone knows where to get that dress with the, like, dark pink flowers on it, absolutely obsessed. I don't know if this is true, but I heard that she just picked up a random pair of shoes and they were like gold and did that, ad-libbed that, and then in post they were like, hey, she clicked a pair of heels together 3 times. Let's turn them red. It's like a little Easter egg, a little homage. It's fun. Like, why is that a Quidditch set? I love all the devices she has that her suitcase is turned into. See, montage. Why do we have a montage here? I don't think we need it. There's nobody wiser, not when it comes to popular. You were, instead of dreary who you were, well, are popular. Lar. We're gonna make you popular. They changed around the order of some of the dialogue in this. Not for any particular reason, but it doesn't really matter. When I see depressing creatures with unprepossessing features, have to think of did they have brains or knowledge? Don't make me laugh. They were That's funny. Okay, so when I first saw the movie, I was like, did they really only do one toss toss? Like normally in the musical it's at least two. Glinda does toss toss, Elphaba does it back. Glinda does it again, Elphaba does it even worse the second time, and then Glinda goes, well, you'll practice.
First, hair. See, this is how you toss your hair. Toss, toss. Toss, toss. Toss, toss. Stop it. Toss, toss. You'll practice.
And that's like, it kind of can change depending on the audience reaction. So it's normally at least two, but then if the audience is like really loving it, they'll do like even 3 or 4.
Now toss, toss. Toss, toss. Toss, toss. Toss, toss. Toss, toss, no hands. Toss, toss, no hands. Okay, push it. Push it in.
And they're really funny. And I was like, why did they only film one? But I did see in the deleted scenes that they did more, so I guess they cut it for time. But the ball gown bit goes on a little too long. Like, I don't think that part's as funny. I would have preferred more tosses to the ball gown part going on as long as it did. Let me know what you think, if you prefer the tosses being kept in or the ball gown part being kept in. Not like cut it completely, but it didn't need to be as long as it was. I would have preferred a couple more tosses. I'm gonna give my best toss. I love the actresses that do like a laugh and then Elphaba does a cackle back. Like I think Olivia Valli did it on tour, like when the Glinda goes toss and then Elphaba's like toss and there's like a witch cackle. I think that's very fun. Olivia Valli did like a good witch cackle with her toss. I'll try to put in a clip if I can find one.
Toss. Toss.
That's a choice. See, why is this a montage? Why isn't it just a scene of her doing it a few times like it is in the musical? Why is it a montage? We're in the same room. Why are we cutting in between each attempt? It could just be one shot. It doesn't need to be a montage. And it doesn't need to go on this long.
Seriously? Do you need
Is this thing on?
No, just wear the froat. It's pretty. Maybe.
Just this.
Pink is good with green.
Pink is good with green. I like the actresses that like Ali Mozzie, she would go, pink goes good with green, and then pat herself on the back.
Pink goes good with green.
I think that's fun. Ali Mozzie's Popular is definitely my favorite. I like when they act like super drunk during Popular because it's like they just got back from a party. They're still tipsy. Look at you. You're beautiful. You're welcome. Oh, hello. Your disinterest clandestinely. You're gonna grin and marry your newfound popularity. I do really like the key changes they added to the La La's. I wish I hadn't known about it going in and that it could have been a surprise because I had heard someone say that they added these key changes to Popular and that it was like Love on Top by Beyonce. I love Love on Top by Beyonce, and that has like so many key changes. It just keeps going up and up and up, and it feels like it's never going to stop. And so that's the expectation I had for Popular going into the movie. I thought the La La's were going to go on for so long, like Love on Top, but then they only do 2 key changes. If I hadn't known about it going in, I would have like loved it and had no expectations for that at all. But because I had the expectation of someone online saying it was like Love on Top, I was a little disappointed that it was only 2 key changes. But that's not the movie's fault. That's Twitter's fault for me seeing that. You'll be popular. The Ariana's coming out. You'll be popular. Quite as pop. I also like that change a little bit. Like in the musical, it's just not quite as popular. But in the musical, I like that they put the emphasis on the word quite, just not quite as popular. It's a little more bouncy, and it works because she's jumping up onto these boxes. In the musical, she's just sitting on the bed, so that those beats wouldn't make sense. But in the musical, I like that it goes on each step she takes, going up the little steps. Just not quite as popular. I like it. It's fun. There's a time dragon clock for 1 second. I didn't catch it when I saw it in theaters, but then someone online pointed it out. Here's where the deleted scenes would go. After this, before Dr. Dillman's class, is where that montage should go. It's time to switch out my popular Glinda back to my school uniform Glinda. Got these two. See, they all have poppies in this scene because they would have just gone to the poppy fields. But that whole montage got cut out, and I really wish we would have seen that. But it seems like maybe it's going to be in part 2 because John Chu's being really cryptic about it. I hate how they grab him by the antlers. So upsetting. This hits really hard when you're Jewish. Dr. Nikitic just kind of looks like he's from a different like movie. Like he doesn't look Aussian.
It behooves us all
Behooves.
merely to study the past,
Behooves.
but to look.
The Lion Cub is so cute. Lion King live action, take notes.
The dimensions of the
Can you imagine a world where animals are kept in cages and they never learn to speak?
That line's like a funny line in the musical because it's like in real life animals are kept in cages and they don't speak. But in the movie it's said very seriously. So this magic is not what happens in the musical. In the musical, it's like this like jolting dance magic curse, like a very angry magic that she puts on them, similar to what she does in the beginning.
What are you gonna do? Well, somebody has to do something! What's happening? I don't know, it don't matter! All right, just don't move. And don't get mad at me. Are you coming?
This calm magic with the poppies is very different, but obviously it's a little like Easter egg to the Wizard of Oz when she puts Dorothy and the gang asleep with the poppies.
I got mad at
But it's like you didn't get mad because this magic is so like peaceful.
What are you doing? Coming?
So this little shot with the basket and the bike is obviously an homage to the Wizard of Oz with Mrs. Gulch. And in the trailer, they played the Wicked Witch of the West theme, but slowed down. So it's like instead of like it was in the trailer, it was like dun dun dun. And then I was like, oh, are we gonna get that Wicked Witch of the West theme from the trailer in the movie? But instead we get it switched and they play it in a major key here. So instead of either the Wizard of Oz, Wicked Witch of the West theme, or the one we got in the trailer, we get a new one in a major key. So this is a fun little homage to the Wizard of Oz also.
This wicked witch.
See here in a major key. But yeah, that's the Wicked Witch of the West theme that they play with Mrs. Gulch in the Wizard of Oz movie. I feel like every time I check to see how much time is left, there's still so much time left. Okay, so I want to say something about this pen because I love this pen she has here, and there's this girl on TikTok, I don't remember her name, but I'll look it up and I'll put it in, who makes glass blown pens like this, and I wonder if they used her for this movie, if they used her pens. I'm sure she didn't invent glass blown pens, but it reminds me of this girl online who makes them, these beautiful, beautiful glass blown pens, so I want to just like shout her out because it looks like the pen they used here. I don't know if it's hers or not.
John Chu, like the director of Wicked, shared my Glinda glass wand making video. I'm just speechless, honestly.
It's cute. It's so cute. I don't cause commotions. I am one. Again, that line doesn't work because in this movie, she's not a commotion. She's so calm.
But can I just say one more thing? You could have walked so no matter how shallow and self-absorbed you pretend to be.
Excuse me. There's no pretense here. I happen to be genuinely self-absorbed and deeply shallow. So another problem I have is with the way Jonathan Bailey delivers some of Fiero's like jokes, and I'll point it out when it happens again. That line is very funny, but a lot of people who've only seen the movies totally miss it because he says it so fast and doesn't emphasize the joke. In the musical, it's said slower with a pause for laughter. I happen to be genuinely self-absorbed and deeply shallow. That's the joke. It's two oxymorons. Genuinely self-absorbed and deeply shallow. So they pause and the audience can laugh, but in the movie, and I've seen this from like in the theaters, nobody laughed at it because nobody got it because he says it too fast. I'm gonna be genuinely self-absorbed and deeply shallow. Nobody heard the joke. In the musical, it's emphasized more so you get to hear it.
No matter how shallow or self-absorbed you pretend to be.
Oh, excuse me. There's no pretense here. I happen to be genuinely self-absorbed and deeply shallow.
Maybe his accent also doesn't help with like processing the words he says. Like I find understanding British accents, but I know a lot of Americans struggle with that sometimes. He's so hot. You are the pain of my existence and the object of all my desires. Anthony Bridgerton ASMR. Also, like, with the horse meet cute, they made it, like, really similar to how he meets Kate in Bridgerton. They, like, kind of were like, copy-paste that plot line here. The scenery is gorgeous. They play the little dancing through life Ozda's duet motif. The dun, 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 dun.
And why was I the only one you didn't do it to?
Oh my god. Viscount Bridgerton. My lord. I must have scratched you or something. Everything in this movie is so slow. I definitely don't mind it being 2 parts, and I actually think it was really necessary for it to be 2 parts. But with so much of what they cut from this movie, of like the deleted scenes we saw that actually would have been really good additions and expand on the characters more, the fact that like some of the stuff they chose to keep in just like doesn't, the choices don't really make sense to me, and like how much they slowed things down. I do agree some scenes needed room to breathe, and I like that we get more character development in this. But this scene has all the exact same lines of dialogue from the musical, just said so much slower. This movie didn't have to be as long as it was if they just like talked a little faster. I'm from New Jersey. I get really frustrated when people talk slowly. So I just like this, all the lines are the same as in the musical here. It's just so slow. See how slow? Like, I don't mind any changes they make to I'm Not That Girl, because I'm going to be honest, it's like not my favorite song. But they took probably the slowest song in the musical and made it even slower. I like the extra riff she adds, but like, why does it need to be hands touch? Like, finish the word already. Sudden silence. Why is it so slow? In a giddy. It's so slow. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's just really slow. And it didn't need to be. I like this song because it's an alto song, so I can sing it. Don't lose sight of who you are. That rush of joy. Runs. I haven't listened enough to the movie version to know the riffs yet. I still just know the musical version. Okay, this shot, it reminds me of Avatar, like Pandora planet, like with the plants, things opening up with the bioluminescence, it's giving Avatar. When reality sets back in. I like the riff she adds to Lithe Limb. Lithe Limb. That's like the one part that actually when I listen to the original, now I want that riff in it. Lithe Limb. I really like that. Gold hair with a gentle curl. A girl he chose, and heaven knows. There's a girl I know. I like seeing more of the friend group altogether. I wish we had more of that. You should watch The Wicked Tiny Desk to hear Stephen Schwartz explain why the song sounds unfinished and why he left it on a, like, I think it's a 5th note, so it sounds unfinished. It's really interesting. I recommend watching The Tiny Desk. This black shot is so weird. So I thought in the movie, this is so weird. Why does it go black for so long? Then when we saw the deleted scenes, we saw why, because they cut out the scene of the two of them in the room when they hear her calling Miss Alphabet. But they could have either put in footage of Madame Marble saying it. I'm sure they had some footage of Michelle Yeoh saying that line. Or they could have put in like B-roll footage of like an overhead shot of Shiz. It's so weird that they just did a really long cut to black. It looks like we're watching something made for TV and it's like, oh, commercial break. Time to go to the bathroom.
You most ceremoniously.
Ceremoniously. I don't like that one. I don't like when they just replace an S with an SH. It just makes it sound like people list.
To make good.
Making good. Making great.
Bring that to the wizard. You'll find a way.
They played a little of I'm Not That Girl there. I think this train is so cool. I'm a big fan of like the Industrial Revolution. Like I said, I love Victorian fashion. I also just love late 1800s. Like that's one of my favorite history eras. Like I love the Industrial Revolution. I love like just feats of engineering, like this train. I really like want that man to be a cameo, but I don't think he is. The deleted scenes for this scene are so good. Maybe I'll react to them.
And I came with the cutest little man with a mustache. You gotta see him.
He's been distant and moodified, and he's been thinking, which really worries me.
He did come.
He looks so old, I'm sorry, like compared to like the rest of them. I don't know, he looks so much older.
Yes.
We are both so happy. Yeah, I heard. See, that's another line that wasn't emphasized as well as it is in the musical, because Glinda says, and he's been thinking, which really worries me, and then Fiora says, I've been thinking, and she cuts him off and goes, yes, I heard. But in the movie, she's just like, yeah, heard. It's like whispered and it's kind of flown past, and I also think it's one of those where people miss the joke. Like from when I saw it in the movie theaters, people didn't laugh. But in the musical, that's like a line that gets laughs. I've been thinking, yes, I've heard. It needs to be like emphasized a little more. Like, yeah, he's been thinking.
I don't know him either. Not anymore. He's distant and moodified, and he's been thinking, which really worries me.
I've been thinking.
Yes, I heard. Oh, me too. This is like those memes, like those TikToks that people do of like me if I was Eliza during Take a Break, when they realize like, when he's like, come away with us for the summer, let's go upstate. And Eliza's like, that's like what's going on here. Makes one want to take a stand.
Everyone!
Your name?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes. In order to express my outrage.
Glinda.
I like how it pains her to say it. Glinda. Such braverism. The word braverism is in the musical, but in Act 2. Having Nessa Rose walk away or wheel away from Bach here instead of him leaving her is very different to what happens in the musical.
Don't be upset, Glinda.
It's Glinda now!
I want him.
This must be what other people feel like.
How do they bear it?
How do they bear it?
She's popular now. Glinda helped. Goodness knows. Yeah, they're playing No One Mourns the Wicked here. I hope you get everything your heart desires, Glinda. I couldn't possibly. This is your moment. I'm coming. A minute before we get into One Short Day, which is also one of my favorite songs in the musical, and I love what they did with it in the movie. I'm gonna put on my little green glasses for the Emerald City. I am very upset they cut these glasses out of the movie. So for a little bit of backstory, for those of you who've never read the Wizard of Oz book.
In the Wizard of Oz book, when everyone gets to the Emerald City, they have to put on a pair of green glasses and it locks onto your face. And the reason that they're told that they have to is because the Emerald City is so dazzlingly bright that like you would be blinded if you looked at it without glasses on. So everyone's given these green glasses and everything in the Emerald City looks green. Dorothy notes that the people look like their skin is tinted green. She gets a new dress that's green. Everything in the Emerald City is green. Later, when Dorothy leaves the Emerald City and her glasses are taken off, she realizes that the new dress she got isn't green at all, it's actually white. And you realize that the glasses made everything look green. So the Emerald City is not actually green, it's a sham. Again, the Wizard of Oz was written as a metaphor for the populist movement in the late 1800s. And so the whole Emerald City being fake and the wizard being a fraud was obviously a metaphor for the United States government at that time, and the green being money, how like he L. Frank Baum, as like a farmer, was against this like big money. And so it's very important that the Emerald City and the Wizard are frauds.
Obviously in the Wizard of Oz movie, we don't have the glasses. In the Wicked book, we also don't have the glasses. The Emerald City is really green, but in the Wicked musical, they put the glasses back in. Now they don't say anything about it. It's like blink and you miss it. Like if you know the reference, if you've read the Wizard of Oz book, you're like, hey, the glasses, but they don't say anything about it. They don't wear them for that long. They put them on for one short day and then take them off before they go see the wizard. But it's a fun little nod.
In the Emerald City, one short day to have a lifetime of fun. One short day,
And we're born in the city. Now that we're in here, doing everything
before we are done.
I think the Wizard of Oz movie missed a huge opportunity not having these glasses in, because the whole message of this movie is like the wizard being a fraud and him doing all of this, all the sham and all the like smoke and mirrors, because he has no real power. And in this, because he's evil, the glasses would have been such a great way to show that. So walk with me. Here's my vision. My green vision. When they get to the Emerald City, they should have had the glasses put on. Everything's green. Maybe once they put the glasses on, a green like filter goes over the whole screen, right? So everything looks very, very green. We go through one short day, blah, blah, blah. And we've already had this imagery throughout the movie of glass shattering. Howard Ho in his Defying Gravity analysis did a whole analysis on the metaphors of the glass shattering in this movie. And so it would have been so good if they'd had these green glasses. Everything looks green, everything looks dazzlingly bright and magical and whatever. And then during Defying Gravity, Elphaba's glasses break and she realizes that it's all a lie because it's not green at all. So it either could have been that her glasses break during the scene where they're in the wizard's chamber when she's like realizing he has no real power, or it could have just been like in Defying Gravity when she flies out the window, the green glasses break. When she flies outside, she sees for the first time that it's all actually not green. And it would have been really cool for her to fly outside and see that nothing was green after all, and it was all a sham. So I think they missed a huge opportunity not having the green glasses in this movie, especially because they had all this glasses imagery and all these glasses themed metaphors throughout this whole movie with glass shattering. Huge missed opportunity. Anyways, I will keep these on for the Emerald City. One short day. I do love the imagery of the Emerald City. It looks very cool. Oh, I've always wanted to see the Emerald City. And this is so fun. I love this scene. In the Emerald City. Here we go. Ooh, look at the chickens with their top hats. Not enough green. The Emerald City scenes, like, people are wearing a lot of colors that aren't green. Like, I see in this shot, I see a lot of pinks. I see purples. Again, it's like this movie. Every shot has to have pink and green. We don't need every shot to have pink and green. There's pinks, there's purples, there's yellows, there's some blue. It should be all green. Everyone should be wearing different. It doesn't have to look monochromatic. It can be different shades of green. I want it to look like what it looks like in the musical with the capital. Like the capital fashion from the Hunger Games movies were inspired by the Emerald City costumes from the Wicked Broadway show. You can have these elaborate costumes with all green, different shades of green, but instead, like, why are people in pink and purple? It's the Emerald City. Come on, get your green. Also, I really want to throw like an Emerald City themed party where everyone has to wear like elaborate green costumes and everyone gets green glasses when they come in. I think that would be super fun. I might do that. One short day, so much to do. The set like looks cheap. Like you can tell they ran out of budget for this set because it's like just kind of like in one square. Like we're not really seeing overarching like views of the city. We're just like seeing like a little bit. I don't know. It just seems like they like ran out of budget for this set and they kind of like minimized it. And I think that is what happened because with the cameo, they originally were going to have a whole It's a Small World ride telling the story of Oz, and then they changed it to get Idina and Kristen and rework the whole scene. So it does feel like this set was thrown together kind of last minute. They are buildings tall as quackswood trees. See, too many colors that aren't green. Palaces, museums, 100 strong. They're wonders like I've never seen. And it's all green, except not really. I want to wander and enjoy. Okay, refs. They also use the nail choreography from In the Heights. And we're warning the city now that we're in here. It's like Snow White with the birds. Is it Snow White or Cinderella? Maybe Cinderella with the birds. And we cut out the line that makes me so emotional in the musical. The nightlife, the hustle and bustle, it's all so Ozmopolitan. Alfie, come on, we'll be late for Wizomania. I want to remember this moment always. No one's staring, No one pointing? For the first time, I'm somewhere where I belong. You look positively emerald.
The nightlife, the hustle and bustle. Ooh, it's also cosmopolitan. Elfie, come on. We'll be late for Withomania.
I want to remember this moment. Always. Look, no one's pointing. No one's staring. For the first time, I am somewhere where I belong.
You look positively emerald.
That line makes me very emotional. So I knew this cameo was coming. So for those who don't know, that's Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth, the original Elfa and Glinda from Broadway. I unfortunately had this spoiled for me, like intentionally. So that was pretty shitty. So I knew this was coming. Sadly, I wish it had been a surprise. But I'm so happy about it. It just makes me so happy to see that.
In a strange and secret language in a book.
I was so afraid the first time that would be all we saw of them. I'm glad it wasn't.
The wise ones left a prophecy.
That made me cry in the theaters. I didn't know she was gonna do the riff, and it makes me feel so at home. Like hearing Idina do the riff, it feels so right. It makes me so happy, and I like sobbed in theaters when that happened. I like the hammerheads in the musical. This starts so funny. Oh my. Whoa, my. It also like kind of looks like James Franco wizard in that shot. Thanks, Winnie Holtzman. So that's Winnie Holtzman, who just said he must be a wizard. She wrote the book for the musical. Who's the mage? Whose major itinerary is making all us merrier? Who's the... I love this part of One Short Day originally anyways. To save our mysterious who's and who's for outer boning has all of us honeymooning. Woo! Isn't he wonderful? Our wonderful wizard. So in the musical, the line is "Wisn't he wonderful? Our wonderful wizard." But in the movie, they just changed it to "Isn't he wonderful?" Why? It's less whimsical. Why'd they take out "Wisn't"? Why make there be less whimsy in the movie? I was like, after this, I was like, I just want to see Idina and Kristen. I was like, I don't care about Ariana and Cynthia. Put the camera back on Idina and Kristen. I just want to see them again. This choreography is really fun. And then just like now we can say we're just two friends, two good friends, two best friends. That's Stephen Schwartz, who composed the music for Wicked. That wizard will see you now. Thanks, Stephen. Okay, I know we're still in Emerald City, but I'm taking the glasses off because I can't see very well in them. They're very hard. This is so cool. It's pretty much the same as the mechanical head in the musical, and I think it's awesome, but it has a few more like intricate details on it. The great and terrible. So cool. A man. See, they're not supposed to know that the wizard is a man. Glinda's like, a man. And yet, why is his face plastered all over everything in Oz?
For you.
Glinda.
The guy is silent.
Hello, Belinda.
He's so funny. I'm charmed.
I don't know.
I'm rizzed. Gotta give the people what they want.
I give you the Oz of tomorrow.
Yeah, so I think this whole part's kind of based on Walt Disney.
If you just follow the road, it's gonna lead you right
The editing they did in the trailers to put that line with the "bring her to me" in the next scene was really good editing for the trailers. Like, it'll lead you right to me. That was like pretty good, whoever came up with that for the trailer.
Just follow the road. It's gonna lead you right to me.
So this scene, I don't hate it, but like we don't need it. Again, there were so many good deleted scenes that were cut that I think like really would have helped advance the story. And instead we get this like long sequence of what color should the yellow brick road be. It's just not necessary. It's like, I guess like Wizard of Oz fan service. We have origins for so many things in Wicked. We already know from the Wicked book and musical, the wizard is the one who built the yellow brick road, but like, do we need to see him like deciding what color it should be and take up screen time that could have gone to something more important? Not really.
Purple?
And a wonderful road of yellow brick.
It just says road to me.
Let me see.
So we didn't need that. Haha, I get it. Do you get it? I get it.
Here, come up. Anyway, I don't, I leave it in, Munchkinland.
And this doll thing, again, just time that could have gone to something better. Do we need it? I feel like every time I check how much time is left in this movie, there's an hour left. And I feel like for the past 2 hours, there's been an hour left. I know I'm pausing every 5 seconds. That's not helping, but still. Do the best I can. I know that's like one of the Munchkin houses, but it kind of looks like Dorothy's house. Or daughter. 'Cause I think everyone deserves the chance to fly. That's fun. It's like on a ride. Like one of those 4D rides at Disney. Feel so parental, for I am man. This is so like calming. I'm like, oh, I feel cozy. How did she get here? Was she on the same train as them? Like, how did she get here in the same amount of time? I guess they spent a while in the Emerald City. Maybe she took a later train.
Neither could you, I see.
I should know.
You're right. I mustn't rush her. Perhaps.
I think the layout of the Grimmery is very cool. It's like very different looking than what we're used to. Oh my gosh, these girlies out. It's so embarrassing. Oopsies. I forgot.
I've been talking.
They made this spell less like sing-songy than it's in the musical. She's just chanting it instead of singing it, which is an interesting choice. I like the way the things move around on the page in the book. That's how the Grimmery is described in the book, that the letters move around on the page, and that's why it's so hard to read, because they're moving and forming shapes and stuff. This transformation is so much more disturbing than it is in the musical. Because in the musical, basically they just pull a cord and then the wings sprout out all at once. Seeing them grow and like seeing the close-up of his face in pain, this is so much more disturbing than it is on stage.
Oh, history! What an experience you're about to have! Since once I had my own day in the sky, I say everyone deserves the chance!
What is it? There's something wrong! It's just a transition, dear!
History, are you alright? Then why can't he answer me?
Curiosity!
You did it! You actually... No, he's in pain!
You can like feel the pain he's in. Ugh.
How do I reverse it?
Her acting in this scene, like Cynthia's acting, this is what I wanted from Alphaba for the whole movie. The anger in this scene and the passion, I wanted this the whole time. And the fear.
You're right, that's a very harsh word.
Terrifying.
What about
I'm sure the wizard has a good reason.
He's like, no, I don't. I'm just evil.
You're behind all
The acting in this part especially is so good.
You're the reason.
when I first got here? Oh, there was discord.
and discontent.
And back where I come from,
Everyone knows that the best way to bring folks together is to give them a real good enemy. Again, this scene is slow. It's good. It's so good. Everything's just slower moving than it is in the musical. You have no real power.
Exactly.
That's why I need you.
If it'd make you happy, possibly your friend.
Girlfriend. Really? She's definitely a very commanding presence. Michelle Yeoh.
Don't let her get away!
It's an epic shot. I know it's coming. I'm still gonna jump. That jump scare made me jump every single time I saw it in theaters, even though I knew it was coming. And even just now, I was like, it's coming, it's coming. Still jumped. What is it about that jump scare? Why is it so good? And I love horror movies. I'm not like easily scared. I don't know. No. They should be so cut up from all the broken glass.
I dropped a glass bowl the other day, and like I picked it up, all the pieces very carefully, like with gloves and paper towels, and I still cut myself.
They should have cuts all over themselves.
To me.
So this whole balloon scene that's about to happen, I feel like it was just added to like look cool in 3D. And it did, but like watching it the first time in theaters, I was like, oh, they made this whole thing for 3D. It was like when you watched a movie in like 2010 and you could tell like Avatar, when 3D was first coming out, what they added in just for 3D. It's kind of like Technicolor. In the original Wizard of Oz movie, well, it's not the original movie, there were earlier movies, but in the 1939 movie, like how much they did just to show off Technicolor, the ruby slippers, the green skin, all this stuff to show off color. That's what this feels like. Like they put in this whole balloon scene to be like, look, 3D. Except 3D's been around for like 10 years. It's not very exciting anymore. Me jump! What did you say there? What did you just say? Oh, that's like the Flying Monkey theme, the da-da-da-da-da-da, that they, you know, they did have it in the overture. I thought they cut out. They'd cut out a different part of the overture. No. See, I just don't think this whole scene was necessary. I just don't know why they put it in. I guess just to get them higher up so that Defying Gravity, they would have more time realistically before the guards could get to them because they're higher up now. Don't really need it. Instead of flying off the handle, I hope you're happy. I hope you're happy now. I hope you're happy. I hope you're happy too. I hope you're proud how you would grovel in submission to feed your own ambition. I hope you're happy right now. Is what word manifestorium, twisted nature. This distortion, this repulsion, this wicked witch. What are your thoughts on Michelle Yeoh's delivery and how much like lower key they did that line? I don't know how I feel about it. Let me know.
Citizens of Oz, there is an enemy who must be found and captured. Believe nothing she says. She is evil, responsible for the mutilation of these poor innocent monkeys. Her green skin is but an outward story of her twisted nature. This distortion, this repulsion, this wicked witch!
Don't be afraid.
I'm not.
I'm not afraid.
The thing is, this line in the musical, she is afraid and she's like trembling, and I don't like the way it's played where she's just like, I'm not afraid. It's a wizard, you should be afraid of me. Because in the musical, she is really scared. And there's so much more emotion in that line in the musical. I'm not. It's the wizard who should be afraid of me. It's like she's trying to convince herself that she's not scared. But in the movie, she just doesn't actually seem scared at all.
Wicked witch!
Don't be afraid. I'm not. It's the wizard who should be afraid.
of me.
It's the wizard who should be afraid of me.
Just say you're sorry.
Just say you're sorry.
Before it's too late. You can still be with the wizard. What you've worked and waited for. But I don't want it. No. Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. Do-do-do-do. Okay, so hold on, pause for a second. So it says Magnificent Oscar Diggs. So that's the wizard's real name, Oscar Diggs, and it's long. It's Oscar something with a Z, something Diggs. I don't remember off the top of my head. So his initials spell out Oz Pinhead. The reason that everyone thought he was the wizard when he got to Oz, this is from The Wizard of Oz, is that his hot air balloon said Oz on it. On one hand, the first time I saw this movie, I was like, hey, Oscar Diggs, like that's a fun little nod for those of us who've read The Wizard of Oz and know that that's the wizard's name. But then upon rewatches, I'm like, wait a minute, his magic stuff wouldn't have said Oscar Diggs, his magic stuff would have said Oz. The whole point of why people thought he was the wizard is because his stuff said Oz on it. So his name was not the Magnificent Oscar Diggs, it would have been the Magnificent Oz. So all of his magic carts and posters should say Oz. But it's fun for those of us who know that that's his name. And leap, it's time to try to fly. You know, I said I wanted the whole thing to be dark and gritty, how this is shot. Like, this is the lighting I wanted for this movie. Like, the whole movie is very washed out, whereas musical is very dark, gritty, but still with contrast. Like, I don't want the later Harry Potter movies where it's so dark you can't see shit, and it's basically black and white. I like that you can see all the colors and there's contrast, but there's shadows and there's grit. It makes it feel more real. This is my favorite cinematography, is this scene.
Where are your wings?
Maybe you're not as powerful as you think you are. The sound effects on the broom are like a little corny. Unlimited. If we work in tandem, just you and I, defying gravity.
Put this around you.
Glinda really made her whole look. Okay, so this shot that's about to happen is based on something from the actual musical where she's bending down when Glinda puts the cape around her, and then she stands up and you see her in her full Wicked Witch of the West form for the first time, and I love it. I'll put in a clip, but like she's bending down and she stands up and it's like doon 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 doon, and like there's a creak like that's like one of my favorite shots, like imagery in the musical. And so I like that they did it in the movie. That being said, similar to the end of What Is This Feeling, it felt like they couldn't really decide what they wanted to use for the take, so they have it like 3 times in here. She flips the cape, they go up on this like diagonal zoomed in angle of the broom, and they have her standing up. We only needed one of those. It's like they couldn't decide like how they wanted to show that moment of her in her Wicked Witch of the West form, so they put in like 3 versions. It looked like they like forgot to cut out the ones they didn't want to use. Like this shot, right? That. And then also this. I like this one better. I wish they'd just gone with this one. That's the music from the musical. I hope you're happy. Now that you're choosing this, I really hope you get it and you don't live to regret it. I hope you're happy, friend. Okay, we're getting to the climax, and I'm gonna have a lot to say about what they did to Defying Gravity. It's probably the number I was the most disappointed by in the movie.
you can't, like that, it's me, was perfect. It was raw. It's me. Like the jumping, loved it. That should have gone right into So If You Care to Find Me. I am going to talk about each change they made here. Again, this is the climax of the show. You are building momentum. You are building momentum, and the movie just stops it. And then it keeps like being like, oh, just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. We're getting to the climax of the song. We want to hear from So If You Care to Find Me to we don't want interruptions in between. And they keep interrupting and it just kills the momentum. And then, okay, so this scene that's coming up where she falls goes on for so long. Like, I don't mind the falling off the broom and then catching it. It reminds me of the scene in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire and the dragon task when he like falls and has to catch his broom in the air. But that was so much shorter and quicker pace and didn't feel like it killed the action of the scene. I'm actually gonna put like a counter on the screen of how long it takes for her to catch her broom on this and how long it takes Harry Potter to catch his broom in Goblet of Fire, because that's a version of that same type of scene, but where it doesn't kill the momentum the way it does in this movie. It totally kills the momentum. It goes on for so long to the point where in the theater I'm like, how is she still falling? How has she not hit the ground? Like, how high up are they? How has she not hit the ground by now? I feel like I should do the math on that. How high up they have to be, because she's falling for so damn long. I'm like, how have you not splat on the ground yet?
What have you done this time?
Yeah, take it away, honey. It's gonna be a Bombay ride. And the way it's said just makes me think of that. Sorry for doing that reference every time. Like, I understand the symbolism of this moment, but it's just like, how is she not dead yet? How are you still falling? Like, you should have hit the ground by now. How are you still falling? Like, finally, right? This part, it's me. Also, the way she does the second "it's me," I saw someone, I thought it's weirdly like auto-tuned. I don't know why it's in head voice. And then I saw someone say it sounds like the Backyardigans, and I can't unhear that. It does sound like the Backyardigans. It's me. She did it well and raw the first time. I don't know why we did the second like auto-tuned head voice version. And this, like the way it's shot with the cape, is a reference to how it looks in the Broadway show. This shot looks goofy. The zoomed in, it looks good. Zoomed out, it looks a little goofy. Like, it's not the best green screen CGI I use. Like, this looks silly. Let's be real. This part's cool. Harry Potter was made in like the early 2000s, and they're flying CGI so much better. Not the first Harry Potter movie, because that scene like looks like a video game, but the later Harry Potter movies, like 2nd through 8th, the Quidditch scenes look so good. Like, why is this CGI for flying on a broomstick like so bad? We have the technology. And nope, we're gonna pause again. We're gonna kill the momentum right before the climax for no reason. We didn't need another Unlimited. If they had written another Unlimited verse that said something and written a new verse for the song that said something, that would be one thing, but it's just her saying Unlimited. Like, before this, every time she sings Unlimited, it's a different verse. In The Wizard and I, in Defying Gravity, and then in For Good, it's different. Here, she's just saying the word unlimited. It's not even anything like new or interesting. We don't need it. This is a big power belting moment. It's supposed to be real and raw and powerful and angry and scared. And instead we're doing this like weird head voice moment that I just don't think fits in Defying Gravity. And we don't need to hear Madame Morble's speech again, word for word. I understand they're showing people's reactions to it, but we are showing the same thing word for word. We could have showed it when she was saying it, shown other people's reactions during the speech. We don't need to see the exact same thing again. We're just like taking up time before we get to the climax for no reason. And there's Frex dying, which in the musical you don't find out until Act 2, but I guess we're seeing it now, which is fine, whatever. Ariana's acting is so good in this movie. That's a good shot. Like, we don't need this. We don't need to see Fiyero. I don't understand why we're showing all this. You know, it's like, finally, Jesus. He's never gonna break me. I hope you're happy. Like, this part's good. I just wish we'd gone to it faster. Also, I like they changed Get Her to Kill Her. In the musical, it's No One Mourns the Wicked, Get Her! And in this, it's Kill Her, which is a lot more intense. And I don't hate that change.
When the battle cry was first released in the teasers, I was not happy they changed it because it's so iconic. And I'm like, why change your most like iconic riff ever? But I actually liked it more in the context because the battle cry gave me what I wanted the rest of Defying Gravity to give me. It was, like I said, real, raw, powerful, whereas the rest of Defying Gravity was too like perfect. Her voice never cracked. It never, like, it didn't sound like she was trying very hard. It sounded like, this is perfectly in my range. I'm just singing la la la. And you want Defying Gravity to feel like difficult. And this is when I go on Broadway too. I don't like when a Defying Gravity is like perfectly in someone's range and they just sing it like easy peasy, la da da, because that's not what Elphaba's feeling at the moment. I like when it sounds like they're trying to hit the notes. And that's how I felt on this riff. So I actually liked it because it gave me what I wanted the rest of Defying Gravity too. Curtain, except not curtain. I also don't really understand this addition at the end because John M. Chu said that the reason it had to be cut up is because like you can't go anywhere after Defying Gravity, and I agree with that. Like Defying Gravity ends, bam, blackout, curtain down, lights up, intermission. You can't really keep going. But then he kept going. Like, why does the movie not end right there? I don't hate the rest of it, like the dun 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 dun. So like whatever, but it could have just ended right after the riff. We don't need more.
There she is! Don't let her get away!
Leave me alone! Do you hear? Let go of me! It's not her! She has nothing to do with it. I'm the one you want. It's me! It's me! So as someone told me lately, everyone deserves a chance to fly. And if I'm flying solo, at least I'm flying free. To those who ground me, take a message from me. Tell them I am defying gravity. I'm flying high, defying gravity. And soon I'll match them in green now. And nobody in all of ours, no wizard that there is or was, is ever gonna believe.
And we don't need a second down. I like this part though. Alright, so that was Wicked! Part 1. I'm gonna stop recording and then I'm gonna do my outro separately. And I feel like there were other things I wanted to say that I forgot to say. I had a lot planned out, but I didn't write any of it down. And so it's just as I thought of things while watching, but I had stuff planned that I think I didn't touch on everything I planned on saying. Bach, even when he's leaning over, foreshadowing. That stands foreshadowing. I will say, in the musical, Nessa Rose is my favorite character. Like, when asked, like, would you play Alpha or Glinda? Like, I would love to play Nessa Rose.
First of all, I can't harbor a fugitive. I'm an unelected official. And why should I help you? You fly around Oz trying to rescue animals you've never even met, and never once have you thought to use your powers to rescue me. That's impossible. Father's dead. Well, what do you expect? After he'd learned what you'd done, how you disgraced us. It was Elphaba Bach. It was Elphaba.
She is my favorite character. I think she is so fascinating. I think she's a really complex, interesting character who actually really does become wicked. In this movie, I just don't really feel any emotions towards her. So I'll make good. Okay, So obviously in the musical, she's not really allergic to water. She fakes her death at the end. In the book, she is really allergic to water. So even though I'm pretty sure the movie's gonna go with the musical ending, not the book ending, it still like makes me so nervous how close to water she is, because in the book, she is so water averse. Like from the second she is born, she will not go near it. When it rains, she covers herself entirely in a hood. A splash of water, she's freaking out because it burns her skin. She can't cry. And so this like thing where she does jumping on stones, like this jumping on the stepping stones in the water, I had a visceral body reaction to it in the theater because I just reread the book, so it was fresh in my mind. So seeing Elphaba like jump next to water where she could easily fall in, I was like, ah, get away from the water, girl. Like I know in the musical she's not, but it like actually made me so nervous. I felt like I was book Elphaba. Even when Elphaba thinks about water, like when Dorothy tells her about oceans, she freaks out. So this, like, I was like, no, get away from the water, girl. Also in the musical, Elphaba is the only character that doesn't use Aussian words, and it makes her more like relatable to the audience, and especially like a little bit of foreshadowing that she is not from Oz, that she's from our world. So by having her say all the Aussian words, it's not as good. And I like that we see this like meeting of the animals, because in the musical, Elphaba doesn't really know any animals personally besides Dr. Dilliman, and she doesn't really, well, okay, in the book she joins like a terrorist group where it's assumed that there's animals involved. In the musical, it's almost giving a little like white savior, or should I say green savior, because she doesn't ask the animals what they want. We already see with this, Dr. Dilliman tells her, don't tell the wizard about this, and then she tells the wizard about this. So as much as she wants to help the animals, it's very like self-serving so she can feel good about herself, and that's kind of what no good deed is about, is that all good deeds are when looked at with an ice cold eye. If that's all good deeds are, maybe that's the reason why no good deed goes unpunished. She wants to do good so she can feel good, not because she really cares about the animals, I feel like, because she doesn't ask them what they want or how she can help them. She chooses what she wants to do to help them, and it's not necessarily what's actually best for them. So I do like, at least in the movie, we're having her meet up with an animal group, and maybe we'll see more of that in part 2. But she doesn't really ask the animals what they want. She just kind of does her own thing, even if the animals told her that that's not going to be helpful for them.
May we offer you a ride?
No thanks. Get stuffed. Foreshadowing.
Backwoodsman.
Foreshadowing.
I cry a lot.
Foreshadowing. Foreshadowing. The touching his heart. Foreshadowing. Am I whatever, the scandalicious fish in the sea? And it happens in the musical too, and for good. They talk about seas. Like a ship blown from its mooring by a wind off the sea. Pay attention to this line that's coming up. It's important in part 2.
My personal opinion
Is that you do not have what it takes. I hope you prove me wrong. I doubt you will. Take her away! You hear the for good there? Wait. I'm going back a second. This is still the Dancing Through Life music, but for good's about to come in. I've heard it said. That was like the beginning of for good. I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason. I did cry in the theaters at this point, so don't worry. I'm not heartless like Bach. That's funny. I hope we get the cat fight scene in Act 2. They've done a lot of homages to her doing the baton flip and earlier with them fighting. I hope we're gonna get the cat fight scene. The way Fiyera's sitting is also, can't do with the wall here, also foreshadowing.
If it's so good, why is he trying to?
Oh my god, it's almost like he's cowardly. If he only had the nerve. This calm magic with the poppies is very different, but obviously it's a little like Easter egg to the Wizard of Oz when she puts Dorothy and the gang asleep with the poppies. And I know people think like, oh, Fiera doesn't fall asleep because he's the Scarecrow, and the Scarecrow doesn't fall asleep either, but neither does the Tin Man. And in this scene, Bach does fall asleep. You see right there, he just slumped down. The reason in the Wizard of Oz the Tin Man and Scarecrow don't fall asleep is because they're not alive. They don't breathe. They're not breathing in the poppies like Dorothy, the Lion, and Toto. So the Tin Man and the Scarecrow are both immune, both in the Wizard of Oz book and movie. So here, Fiero not falling asleep isn't because he's the Scarecrow. It's because Elphaba has feelings for Fiyero. In the musical, this magic is not the poppies, and Fiyero is spared from her magic because she has feelings for him and because he's willing to help with the animals. They just changed it to the poppies to be a little Easter egg, but I don't think he's immune to the poppies, and that's why he doesn't fall for them as the Scarecrow either, because then Bach wouldn't either. But the Lion Cub does fall asleep. I thought that the Lion Cub doesn't fall asleep here, which also would go against it being the same because the lion does fall asleep in The Wizard of Oz. But it seems he also does fall asleep in this scene just from rewatching it. So good to know. So in this scene in the musical, it rains and then her immediately running under the bridge, under cover from the rain. In the musical, it's much more ambiguous as to whether or not she's allergic to water because they want the ending plot twist to be a surprise. So they still want the audience to still believe she can't touch water. So they have this scene where it starts to rain and she runs under the bridge really quickly. In the movie, they make it much clearer that she's not allergic to water. But in the musical, it's more ambiguous. So I feel like the ending is going to be more predictable to people who've only seen the movie.
I'm not that girl.
See, okay, so in this scene,
Mustn't let you get wet.
see, in the musical, she just says, mustn't let you get wet, dearie. In the movie, they add on, not when you're on the verge of greatness. And I think that, again, makes it less ambiguous. Like in the musical, we just see, mustn't let you get wet, which makes us as the audience think, oh yeah, she's wicked witch Celeste, she can't get wet. But in the movie, she's like, not when you're on the verge of greatness, which just makes it seem like, oh, well, you just don't want to get wet because you got a big day coming up. We don't want to mess up your hair. The movie makes it clear she's not allergic to water, whereas the musical tries to trick you because they want the ending to be a plot twist.
Not when you're on the cusp of greatness.
Because see, she was under the water for too long to be allergic. Having Nessa Rose walk away or wheel away from Bach here instead of him leaving her is very different to what happens in the musical and really, really changes her motivations for Act 2. I don't know why she's going to turn evil in Act 2 because in the musical, she is constantly chasing after Bach. And in this scene, Bach is the one who runs away and she runs after him. And Glinda's like, maybe he's not the right one for you. And she's like, no, he is the right one. It's me who's not right. And I don't mind them cutting that line out, whatever. But her constantly chasing after him explains why in Act 2 she becomes evil. She oppresses the Munchkins and takes away their rights to force him to stay with her. But in this scene, it looks like she's done with him. So I don't know what her motivations are going to be in Act 2. Like she sees he's in love with Glinda right now. She leaves. She seems done with him, so why is she going to oppress the Munchkins? I guess we'll see when part 2 comes out, but I feel like they're really, really changing Nessa's characterization. They're really trying to make her more independent, which is fine, but it's like her learned helplessness was such a big part of her character, and if she's so independent and she doesn't need anyone to help her, and she doesn't need Bach, and she's over him, then what are her motivations for turning evil in Act 2? We'll have to wait and find out, I guess. Literally, like, when the casting was announced, I was like, he's way too young to be playing Cynthia's father. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, she's, like, 37. He's probably, like, in his 50s, maybe 40s. I was like, the casting makes no sense. And then I looked up, and he was, like, 72. And I was like, oh, well, good for you, Jeff. You look really good for your age. So those were my thoughts on the Wicked movie. So do I think this movie is the worst thing that ever happened in musical theater? No. Do I think this movie needed to be made? Also no. I absolutely love this movie, and so I don't want it to seem like from this video because I'm so nitpicky and I'm complaining so much that I don't love it. I really, really do. I just don't think everything nowadays needs to be made into a movie. I don't think we need reboots and sequels and remakes and, you know, live action versions of animated movies and all of that and movie versions of musicals. I really would have preferred a pro shot of the Broadway show. That being said, I love the movie we got. I would have made different casting choices and some different creative choices, but obviously I'm not a casting director or a director or a creative person at all, so what do I know? But I am very happy with the movie we got, and I am very excited for part 2. I hope when you guys are watching this video, you don't think I just hate the movie because I'm only saying negative things. I want you to know, like, I absolutely love this movie. When I saw it in theaters, I cried multiple times, and I saw it in theaters multiple times. But when I'm filming this video, it's hard to, like, process what's happening emotionally. I've never really filmed a reaction or commentary video before, and so I'm paying more attention to remembering everything I wanted to say, and I'm filming part of this later because I realized there were things I forgot to say that I had planned on saying. It's hard when you're watching a movie while you're also filming to react and laugh and cry at all the things, because I'm really focusing on what I want to say and what my thoughts are and not just like my emotions. So props to people who actually do reaction videos full time, because it's really difficult. I don't know how you do it. Overall, I loved the movie. I really did love it. And so I know it seems like from this video that I was complaining a lot and nitpicking, but that was kind of the point of the video. I felt like if you clicked on it, you probably wanted to see that. And please let me know if you agreed with me, and please let me know if you disagreed with me. I love arguing with people online. I love it. So if you disagree with me, put it in the comments. It gets more engagement. I want to hear all of your thoughts. And yeah, I would say I'll see you guys next time, but I don't know if I'll ever make another video again. I just made this because I really wanted to and people were asking. Maybe I'll make one for part 2 when it comes out next year, but I don't know. Subscribe if you want, but there probably won't be any more videos.